David Montgomery is Timothy. David Montgomery is taking over Detroit, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you have David Montgomery dropping 41 points in some leagues. The Detroit Lions boat race the Green Bay Packers. And yeah, we have a decent amount to talk about here. I mean, the first thing we want to do is pull up what we had in Detroit. Now, sadly, we don't have the official data just yet with snaps and with the exact granular usage. However, I will get you all that information the second it's available, so just make sure you're subscribed. But nonetheless, the story of this game is Mr. David Montgomery, where David Montgomery coming into this contest wasn't even for sure if he was going to be playing. I mean, this morning there was a report coming out of some Detroit beat reporters saying, oh, David Montgomery was going to miss. And then, no, we got the update later on. Oh, I don't know where that came from. David Montgomery is indeed playing, and he is out there crushing, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there are a couple different things I want to talk about. First, let's look at the David Montgomery usage going into this game. Now, very difficult to go through and read too much into this because we've seen two different things, right? We've seen one game before this where David Montgomery played against the Chiefs. The Lions took care of business there, and we got to see what David Montgomery looks like in a win. And we got to see David Montgomery in a loss against the Seahawks, but we can't really take too much away there because keep in mind, David Montgomery did go down, got carted off the field just 2 weeks ago. But before he was, the man had, oh my gosh, the man had 16 carries and a rushing touchdown. So let me go ahead and let me pull this up for everybody here. But what's impressive about this David Montgomery usage is we are now seeing the continued trend where this coaching staff in games where the Detroit Lions are leading, they do not care about Jahmyr Gibbs at all. We'll talk about Jahmyr Gibbs in just 1 second. Jahmyr Gibbs is a running back that I was going out there and trading for. I mean, I've been very excited about Jahmyr Gibbs for quite some time. But David Montgomery, week 1 against the Chiefs, 21 carries and the rushing touchdown. David Montgomery against the Seahawks, like I said, he was carted off the field. He didn't play the entire game. 16 carries and the rushing touchdown. And David Montgomery in this game goes out there, 32 carries and 3 touchdowns. David Montgomery in about 10 quarters of football has 5 total touchdowns this season. Now, Montgomery, I was going through and saying, oh, you know what? Full BBR format. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Gibbs expands his role. Gibbs is the guy that's getting involved as a receiver. Where David Montgomery, we see a little usage as a receiver in this backfield as well, where he does draw 2 targets. I mean, that's not massive, right? But that's still a much bigger deal than the 0 targets that you have week 1. You go over to Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs is still the receiving back. I will be very interested to see once the exact data comes out, the amount of routes that Jahmyr Gibbs ran in comparison to David Montgomery in this game. But Jahmyr Gibbs has 5 targets in this contest in comparison to David Montgomery at 2. I still like Gibbs in a full PPR league. It is brutal to say this, of course, after this game. What will be very interesting is what does the backfield split look like in a game where the Detroit Lions aren't winning the entire time? What happens if the Lions fall behind? What happens if they have to go out there and they have to throw the ball, play catch up? Do we get a little bit more usage from Jahmyr Gibbs in that instance? I would operate under the assumption that we do, but obviously coming out of this game, it's very hard to say that with confidence. Now, looking at the receivers, you have 3 receptions for Reynolds. Reynolds had a couple highlight grabs. I mean, Josh Reynolds looked good in this game. Still not someone we're super pumped to ever go out there and start. Still someone I don't think has a crazy ceiling. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean, gets you the receiving touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, great day. Not too much to discuss in Detroit outside of the running back usage. Sam Laporta still looks great. Sam Laporta gets his 5 targets, 56 receiving yards. Going over to the Packers side of things, maybe we need a rule not to start Green Bay running backs. I mean, we've been bamboozled a couple times now to go through and start A.J. Dillon with no Aaron Jones. Now, all of a sudden, you have Aaron Jones back into this offense. I'm thinking, oh, okay, yeah. Aaron Jones, running back, we can start immediately. Let's get Aaron Jones in here. Now, Aaron Jones took some brutal shots in this game. Like, RIP Aaron Jones here. I started him everywhere I had him. I was super pumped about him. But the man, 5 carries, 18 rushing yards. We go over to what you had as a receiver, and this is the most frustrating thing when it comes to Aaron Jones. Is with Aaron Jones, you expect, okay, maybe he's not a great rusher. Maybe he doesn't have the rushing touchdown. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what you're going to get from Aaron Jones will be the receiving volume. We're going to get our 7 targets. We're going to get our 4 receptions. We're going to get our 30 receiving yards, and it'll give us that baseline level floor. That didn't happen, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron Jones, 2 targets. Now, keep in mind, I think the usage in this game will be very hard to take too much away from. Aaron Jones just returned. Christian Watson just returned. We got the report saying that Christian Watson was going to be operating on a snap count. Y'all know I love Christian Watson long term. Watson did score the touchdown, but still ultimately not super involved in this offense, right? Only had 4 targets. The main guy here, Romeo Doubs, back-to-back weeks at this point, going through and absolutely crushing and getting all the target volume in Green Bay. So Romeo Doubs is a wide receiver that going forward, it's going to be hard not to rank him inside our top 24. But at the same time, I think that it's hard to be penciling him in as a must-start wide receiver every week, understanding that Christian Watson will be expanding his role in this offense. Now, if you're looking at Musgrave, he goes down with a concussion. Not too much to read into. I still don't necessarily think he'll be a super exciting tight end going forward because we get the volume from these guys. And one other thing that I at least should point out here in this Green Bay Packers game, the Packers were missing multiple starting offensive linemen. So maybe long-term, this Packers team is going to be able to turn it around. Maybe long-term, we shouldn't expect, Christian Watson, Aaron Jones, these overall receiving options, these overall rushing options to be this poor if we get a healthier Green Bay Packers offensive line, if we don't have the Jordan Love interceptions, then all of a sudden, maybe we can rely on these guys a little bit more. But let me know in the live chat if y'all have any questions specifically about this game. CB says Aaron Jones a good buy low. I'm not going to lie to you. Aaron Jones will probably be on a buy low video next week. Christian Watson will probably return to a buy low video this next week. Going forward, can I ask y'all a couple questions about Montgomery? Would y'all rather have David Montgomery or, I don't want to go Kenneth Walker. It would be easily Kenneth Walker. Hell, we can ask it, right? We can ask it. It's right after the game. Times for overreactions. Would you all rather have David Montgomery or Kenneth Walker rest of season? David Montgomery or Kenneth Walker? JL says, should we trade for Montgomery? It's way too late to trade for Montgomery, my man. Now is no longer the time. We got Montgomery over Walker. Montgomery, Walker. Walker, Montgomery, Walker. That's tough. Okay, so it looks like this is about the range where he's in. I will say, if it is a full BBR format, give me Kenneth Walker. If we are looking at both backs, I think both of them will ultimately be losing some work later this season. I think Gibbs will be expanding his role. I think Zach Charbonnet will be expanding his role as well. Now, with that being said, I would be a little bit more willing to buy into Jahmyr Gibbs, the 14th overall pick, taking a considerable amount away from David Montgomery, the running back on his second contract, than I would be with the Kenneth Walker situation, right? So Montgomery, absolutely crushing it. If you have David Montgomery, you should be very excited. Hell, it's great to see that he's getting involved as a receiver as well for those full PPR formats. And obviously, we've always known in a non-PPR format, Montgomery is the guy that you want. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. There were a decent amount of leagues where I had David Montgomery and I benched him. This first week back in, I was not expecting 30 carries, okay? Yeah. Was not expecting 30 carries, at least we are happy to go through and start David Montgomery going forward. But real quick, if you have not done so already, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And of course, if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, promo code FLOCK, get a 100% deposit match up to $500, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And ladies and gentlemen, a Kenny Pickett special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard against the Houston Texans this Sunday with promo code FLOCK. But let's go ahead and let's pull up some of these questions that we have. This first one is going to be coming out from, I believe, got this popping up nice and large for everybody. We're skipping at a little bit there. Then we got to go down. Okay. Neil, I believe maybe this is from Jacob. I don't know. We'll start with Michael. We'll start with Michael. Michael says, Burrow or Cousins this week? Easily Cousins. Opponent has Hawkinson and Addison. Doesn't affect me. We're going to go Cousins. Jacob says, I drafted 0 RB. My picks were Adams, Devonta Smith, Amari Cooper, Jamar Chase, Jerry Jeudy, Swift, and Montgomery. Grab Laporta late in the draft. Love and life right now. Well, congrats, my man. I mean, obviously, that is a nice spot to be in. Neil says 0% underdog on Jahmyr Gibbs. Never felt better. Let me see the percentage of Gibbs versus Montgomery that I have. I have 10% David Montgomery, and I have 8% Jahmyr Gibbs. Let me see the other contest too. So I'm in line with market on Jahmyr Gibbs. If you look at all the teams that we drafted, I am slightly above weight David Montgomery, but very, very close between the two. And honestly, I did that because Underdog was half PPR. Full PPR format, I would have gone heavier on Gibbs and lighter on Montgomery. But Rough Time says, glad someone dropped Montgomery after I lost Chubb. Oh my gosh, my man, congrats. R. Gravy says, Lions really passed on Jalen Carter for Jahmyr Gibbs. It is 4 games in. I mean, obviously, I tweeted this out as well. I tweeted out this saying, like, it's hard to clown on the Lions for their Jahmyr Gibbs usage when they're going out there and when they're boat racing the Green Bay Packers. Versaire says, let's go in a dynasty startup league and wanting Sam Laporta. Where is a fair reach point? So my man, I know you're on flockfantasy.com. You can find my dynasty rankings there. I think Sam Laporta now falls in line with like the Kyle Pitts range of tight ends in dynasty. Like Sam Laporta has to continue to move up those rankings in dynasty. Now, next question coming out from, I believe, Michael says, and congrats on 200K. I forget to say nice things, though. Thank you so much, my man. Paul says 12-team PBR where we have Herbert, CMC, Gibbs, Kyron, Roshan, Amon-Ra, Addison, Elijah Moore, Olave, Laporta, Pitts. Low on Gibbs for now. Traded Tank Dell for James Cook. What are your thoughts and overall moves? Laughable that someone gave you James Cook for Tank Dell. What the hell are they thinking? That person must live in Houston. There's no way. Phenomenal trade for James Cook. I think we sit on our hands with this team. In a full BBR format, Jahmyr Gibbs is still someone that I want to hold on to, expecting him to increase his workload as the season goes on. Riz says, try to sell Montgomery and got no offers this week. Oh, thank God we did not, my man. I thought Montgomery was a fine guy to get some throw out on the trade block in a full PBR format. I thought full PBR format, okay, Gibbs going to expand his role. Gibbs is the receiving back. David Montgomery ultimately is not really getting involved as a receiver. Dear God. Mitchell says team is Richardson, Pollard, Bijan, James Cook, Kyron Williams, Devonta Smith, Ridley, Amari, Goddard. And then on the bench, we have DJ Moore, JSN, Flowers, Charbonnet. What can we do to improve the team through trade? If we could take one of these depth wide receivers like Zay Flowers, send them with maybe a tight end like Dallas Goedert and go get like Mark Andrews. I really like that. Austin says Jerome Ford and Zay Flowers or Jahmyr Gibbs. Can everybody spam the chat? I'm going to remove myself from telling people to trade for Jahmyr Gibbs. Spam the chat. Who would you rather have rest of season? The combo of Jerome Ford and Zay Flowers or Jahmyr Gibbs? What direction are you going in, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. We got 1 vote Gibbs, 2 votes Gibbs. Gibbs, Flowers. Gibbs. Flowers. So funny that how this is working out. Gibbs, Flowers. Anything about Gibbs. Does look like it's a split about 50-50, my man. I mean, ultimately, it really is up to you here. Saram, always happy to see you, my man, says, hope you're doing well, Mason. Absolutely ecstatic. 200K. No one like the flock out there, legend. Probably don't remember, but started watching you right as you started. So happy to see you do well, mate. I remember that you were out here with us back in 2020. I know you've been with us for a long time. I didn't know if you were with us in 2019 or not, my man, but I definitely know that you've been out with us at least since 2020. Let me know if you've been out since 19, but thank you so much for everything. Jay says Montgomery is him. Yes, sir. Running back 1, looks like. In Dynasty, we have Lawrence and Jacoby for Watson and James Cook in a second. We need a running back. 1 QB league. 1 QB format, I am fine if you wanted to do it. I will say Dynasty, I think I'm trying to hold on to Lawrence if I can, my man. Now, Afiz coming out says trade Amari and Stevenson for JT and Brian Robinson or Madison. Way rather Brian Robinson over Madison. And then Tyreek, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Michael Pittman, Barkley, Walker, Kyron, and Zach Moss. Amari to JT upgrade, Stevenson to Brian Robinson downgrade. If you are in a position where you can afford to wait another week for running back production, let's go get JT. Drew says was offered Garrett Wilson for Devon Achane. Running backs are Saquon, Mixon, Moss, and Madison. Receivers are AJ, Higgins, and Tyler Lockett. It is the scariest thing to ever go through and tell someone, but I think I would probably rather have Garrett Wilson over Devon Achane. It's scary. This is a rookie running back just dropped 50 points. Aiden says, I have Hurts, Kittle, Saquon, Ramondre Walker, DK at the flex, and then Debo, Amon-Ra receiver. Do I trade Walker and Sutton for Jacobs and Ridley? Walker to Ridley, lateral move, slight downgrade. Sutton to Jacobs, massive upgrade. Yes, I personally would do this, my man. Dave says, thoughts on JSN, hold him or take a chance with Mims. Oh, hell no. Hold Jackson Smith and Jacobs. He was an elite level prospect. Obviously, will be a long-term play, though. Sean says, hey, Mason, 10-team full BBR format. Trade Swift and Ramondre for Tony Pollard. Yes, sir, I would. My other running backs are Mostert, James Conner. I'll try to sell Mostert instead of Swift, but still, I'll try to sell James Conner instead of Swift, but I would still do this still regardless. Receivers are loaded. Yeah, let's go get Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's a locked and loaded top 5 RB. Debo says it's Madison and Judy for Gibbs in overpay now. Looks like it's an overpay in a full PBR format. I still have faith in Gibbs rest of season. I think Gibbs will expand his role. Mike says, Yo Mason, trade Mostert for James Cook. Up to you. I think I'd rather have Mostert in the short term, maybe James Cook in the long term. Phil says, it's Montgomery's backfield to lose. 32-8. Is it time to give up on Gibbs? People are looking forward to drafting him, and this is the usage they do. I want to be fair to Montgomery and fair to Gibbs and say that if you are looking at the usage between these guys, we did just see a game where the Detroit Lions blew out the Green Bay Packers. While the split is 32-8, what does the split look like if the Packers win this game by 2 touchdowns? If that makes sense. Obviously, you have to have David Montgomery ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs, and it's not that close at the moment. But this was very similar to what we've seen in the past. If the Detroit Lions are going to continue to play like this, you probably want to go through and you probably want to be betting on David Montgomery. Yeah, if you think the Lions are going to continue to blow teams out. Now, Amber says, I benched Montgomery because of the quote-unquote snap count. I mean, my man, I'm right there with you. I had a few leagues where we benched David Montgomery as well, just because guys like Christian Watson, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery, typically, if they're coming off one of these injuries, I try to at least wait to see them 1 week before we go through and get them in that lineup. But Kevin coming out says, I get Breece and we give up Jalen Waddle. Horrible deal. We have a deep wide receiver. On the bench, we have Tank Dell, London, Christian Watson. It's a league where we have 3 flex. Seems the Fins are running more. Waddle, 9 and 10 points. My man, the Fins were running more because they just went up against the Denver Broncos where they won by 50. Of course, you're not going to throw the ball in the second half there. I mean, I definitely would way rather have Waddle over Breece. Oh, sorry about that. I accidentally messed this up. But I would way rather have Waddle over Breece. I'd rather have the Dolphins offense than the Jets. Now, Peter says, should I feel better that I have Montgomery on my roster or worse that he was on the bench and we started Aaron Jones? I would have started Aaron Jones over David Montgomery as well, my man. And I think you should feel good that you have him on the team because obviously it's nice having players increasing in trade value. Riley says, trade Madison, London, Ford for Jamar Chase. Hell yes, Chase, not close, my friend. Duran says, 12-team PBR, 1 flex, 0-3. We have Burrow, Diggs, Higgins, Jacobs, Moss, Andrews, Puka. Flowers and Stafford on the bench. Deontay on the IR. Any trades, I'm desperate to win. If you are desperate to win, let's take some of these rookies. Let's take Zay Flowers, send him with Joe Burrow, and go get a quarterback you're excited about right now. Go take Deontay Johnson, who's banged up, and package him with T. Higgins to go get a wide receiver you're excited about right now on an 0-3 team. Okay. Now, Rondell says, would you sell high on Montgomery versus Josh Jacobs? I'm going to remove myself from this. Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather have rest of season? Would you rather have Montgomery or Josh Jacobs? Jacobs, less future competition. Jacobs, much worse offense as well. Let's see. Jacobs, Montgomery, Jacobs, Montgomery, Jacobs, Monty, Jacobs. Looks like most people are saying Montgomery. It looks like it's a 45. It looks like it's up to you, my man, to be honest. Obviously, David Montgomery just dropped more points in this single game than Josh Jacobs has all season. Juan says traded Dak, Garrett Wilson, Kirk for Russ, Sutton, JT. Kirk to Sutton, slight downgrade. Garrett Wilson to JT, massive upgrade. Dak to Russ, who the hell cares? Good deal. Austin says, should I trade Lockett for Christian Watson? Straight up. I personally would for the long term. Wasn't too excited about Christian Watson this week, his first week back in. But long term, still very much like Christian Watson. Akil coming out says 10-team BBR, 1 flex. We have Watson, Bijan, Ramondre, Puka, Diggs, Kelsey, Amon-Ra, and Waddle on the bench. Who should we start at the flex, Waddle or Puka? I personally am going to go Waddle over Puka. I would rather have a piece in the Miami-Buffalo game than I would of this Rams offense. I think Waddle's a better player, but also Puka's leading the NFL in targets right now, so probably the smart answer is Puka. Jake says, 3-0, 12-team BBR. We traded Puka, Garrett Wilson for Waddle. Good idea. Still have Higgins, Evans, Dobbs on the bench with Eckler, Walker, Devon Achane. 3-0 team where we are only looking for long-term. Completely fine with this, my man. I would assume that we could have gotten a little bit more value, though. Alexi says, Mason, rate my team. It's a 12-team BBR Superflex where we have Hurts, Mahomes, Montgomery, Kyron, Algier, Charbonnet, AJ, Amon-Ra. Oh my gosh, great team. Phenomenal team. Hopefully we play Tyler Higbee over Luke Musgrave today. Superflex format to have Hurts and Mahomes holding it down with the elite receivers. Awesome. And Montgomery as well. Justin says 10-team at BBR 1 flex. We have Kirk, Fields, Bijan, Kyron, Montgomery, Adams, DK, Olave, Kittle, Addison, Flowers, Pacheco. Looking to trade DK and Olave for Jamar Chase. Thoughts and any changes? I think in a 10-team 1 flex format, this is exactly what we're looking to do. Love the team. Let's go through and let's trade DK and Olave for Jamar Chase. 10-team 1 flex. Daniel says keep 2. Akers, Khalil Herbert, Hunt, Justice Hill. We're going to be going with Akers and Khalil Herbert. C7 says trade Kyron and Puka to get Saquon and Myers. I personally would, but that's because I'm worried about the Puka usage when Kupp comes back. Jacob says Pittman, Hawkinson, White for Ford, Pitts, and Waddle. Hockenson and Pitts, massive downgrade. White to Ford, downgrade. Pittman to Waddle, upgrade. I would probably rather have the Hockenson and Whiteside. I love Hockenson. Now, Eugene says, full PPR got offered Waddle for Montgomery. What are your thoughts? The team is Fields, Pollard, Mixon, Montgomery, White, Hunt, Warren, Tyreek. We lost Mike Williams. Can everybody spam the chat on a team where you lost Mike Williams? Full PPR format where you have out running back Tony Pollard, Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, Rashad White. Would you rather have Waddle or Montgomery? With this team, under these circumstances, I would probably rather have Waddle. But let me know what y'all are thinking. Okay. Waddle. Yeah, it looks like most people are going Waddle here as well, my man. Maybe if it was a non-PBR format, you could go ahead and you can keep Montgomery. But Gabe says, I'm sorry I didn't listen to start him all. I don't know who we told you to not start him for, but congrats. Good call, my man. Austin says, is Jahan Dotson droppable in a 12-team PBR format? 2 wide receivers, 1 flex? Probably. John says 3-0, 18 full PBR, where we traded Mostert and Addison for Jacobs and Higgins. Great deal. I think we upgrade both spots, especially 8-team league. Love having Mahomes and Hockenson in an 8-team format as well. CDL says Pittman for Zach Moss. Pittman in the long term. Max says, raid the roster. We traded Wilson and Gibbs for Chase. Well, this trade looks better by the day, my man. Phenomenal move. Double flex format. Hurts, White, Brian Robinson, Chase, Amari, A.J. Brown. Oh, this seems good as is. This seems going to be great when we get cut back in. Great trade. Robbie says, what should I try to get for Mostert and Hollywood? If you wanted a wide receiver, we could get to like the Chris Olave, St. Brown, A.J. Brown range. I would do that. Mostert is a sell high if we can get an elite level piece. He is a hold if nobody is too excited to trade for him. Crab Vision says traded more Nico, Hunt, Deontay. And we got back Jalen Waddle. Got Nico for Moss off the waiver wire. Waller for DJ, Hunt, Deontay off waivers. Feel a lot better after the Mike Williams injury. Well, if you're telling me these guys came off the waiver wire, my man, typically if we're able to go through and trade waiver wire selections and get someone that went in the first 2 rounds of the draft, probably a good idea. Lasagna Lover says, before week 1, had a multiplayer trade that included Akers for Montgomery. What a steal. Happy for you. That is awesome. My man, really happy to see you back out with us in the stream as well. James says, hey, Mason, made some trades. Want to get your thoughts about the bench and if there are some moves we can make to improve. The starters are Dak, Bijan, Jacobs, Hill, Chase, Lamb, Goddard. On the bench, we have JT, Ford, Hunt, Dobbs, Atwell, Addison, and Jerry Jeudy. Okay, so if we're going to be looking at this bench, it is a really deep bench where if we're starting, I mean, we have Jeudy, Addison, JT, Ford, Dobbs popping off. I think that this is going to be a team that you can afford to go out there and trade for a better quarterback. Not every team can do it. I mean, teams that lost Nick Chubb, teams that lost Mike Williams are in a situation where a lot of times they're not able to afford that upgrade at the quarterback position. That is not our situation here, my man. If we could go through and take someone like Jordan Addison and Dak Prescott, go get an elite level QB, I'd love that. Now, Brandon says start 2, Palmer, Gabe Davis, Brees, Tutu, Warren. We're going to go Gabe Davis in the game environment that he's in and Tutu Atwell with this volume. I think we go Gabe Davis for the ceiling, Jalen Warren for the floor. Depends what you need. Jack says, should I trade Mostert, Hollywood, and JSN? Well, I would trade Palmer over JSN. So Mostert, Hollywood, and Palmer for Higgins and Pacheco. Palmer to Pacheco, slight upgrade. Mostert, Hollywood, to T. Higgins. I think if you're going to sell Mostert and Hollywood, you want a little bit more in return. Dadboy Lowe says, I benched Montgomery to start Swift and Moss. We have Watson, Swift, Adams. I think it's a great team. And I don't want to say you made the right call. Obviously, it was the wrong call. But I would have made the same call. I would have played Swift and Moss over David Montgomery tonight as well. In says, 20-team PBR, return yards, 3-0. Happy to hear you're 3-0, my man. Thank you so much for being a member of the flock for so damn long now. We have Waddle, Devonta, Puka, Deontay Mims, Etienne, Chuba, Damian. What should we go after for a running back 2? Maybe buy low on Brees or go even bigger. The issue is, if it's going to be a league where it's a 20-team format, my man, we can afford to punt RB2. Like, if this is a league where we can start 3 of these wide receivers every single week, if you could sell Puka and maybe go get a running back like Rachaad White in a 20-team format, then yes, let's go ahead and let's do that. I don't necessarily think Breece Hall is going to be the guy that we want to go ahead and make that play for. I mean, I think we're fine building around the consistent wide receivers in that 20-team league. Aaron says 12-team 3-receiver double flex, where we have Herbert, Bijan, Etienne, Ridley, Amari, Wilson, Myers, Addison, Hall, Bourne, Reynolds, Mims, Keaton. Trade Bijan for Mixon and Mixon and Devontae Adams. In a league where we start 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes, I would trade Bijan Robinson for Joe Mixon and Devontae Adams. I think in this format, it does make sense. Now, Blake coming out. Actually, we're going to have to refresh this to pull up Blake's. And as we refresh this, give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. But if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. We are 3 likes away from hitting 600 likes on this stream. We have live streamed for 153 days in a row. And of course, if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat. Find it in the description. Find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $500 on Underdog Fantasy. Plus, you're going to be getting our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And you're going to be getting a Kenny Pickett special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard against the Houston Texans this Sunday. I apologize. But this question coming out from Kenny, as we mentioned, this is a 12-team double flex 6-point passing touchdown league where we're rolling with Herbert, Bijan, Devon Achane, Montgomery, Brian Robinson, Roshan Algier. Receivers, we have Ridley, Judy, Elijah, Johnston, Mike Williams to replace. Tight end, we have Andrews. What are your thoughts? Thanks. And 200K. Yes, sir. 200K. 6-point passing touchdown format. Herbert's the perfect guy to have. We have the running back position locked in at the top end as well as the depth. Wide receiver, losing Mike Williams is actually going to hurt. I think this is a solid team for now. The only thing is, let's make sure we're not rostering a backup quarterback. Let's make sure that we are not rostering a backup tight ends, because in this kind of format, we do need to be prioritizing that wide receiver and running back depth, especially if we lost Mike Williams. But next question coming out from Robert says, traded Evans and Romeo Doubs for Higgins. Did we play ourselves? It's an interesting spot, right? Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather have, Evans and Doubs versus T. Higgins? Because Romeo Doubs goes out there, looks so damn good tonight, right? But at the same time, I mean, you're in a position where we can say, oh, okay, well, ultimately, when Christian Watson is fully worked up, how excited can we be about Romeo Doubs? Looks like everybody, the majority of people here would have Mike Evans and Romeo Doubs. The issue is, I really think Doubs looks like a great pick in best ball. I don't know if we can ever get excited about putting him in, though. Josh says, Evans for Aaron Jones. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Still give me Jones. Connor says, trade DJ and Sanders for either DK or Amari. I think if we're trading away Sanders, we need to be charging a premium for that RB. Augustin says, 10-team at BBR. We have Ertz, Eckler, Bijan, Higgins, Olave, Kelsey, Javonte. On the bench, we have Hunt, Ford, Devon, Achane, Hopkins, Palmer. We traded Ford and Higgins for Cooper Kupp. What are your thoughts? Oh, great deal. Great team at the very top end. It may struggle in the short term with the Eckler and Kupp injuries. In the long term, you're going to be in a phenomenal situation. Angel says, should I panic for Jahmyr Gibbs? Who should I target? I am someone who's been advocating to trade for Jahmyr Gibbs in a full PPR format. We've said avoid Gibbs in a non-PPR. Trade for him in a full PPR league. But with that being said, we should be concerned. Should we trade him? No, you should not. Because ultimately, what would you get? Would you get anything? Anything at all? No. Dame says 12-team full PPR, 1 flex. We have Pollard, White, Amon-Ra, Hopkins, Andrews, Elijah, Dodson, JSN, Deontay, Spears, Pirine. We need a receiver. Do we trade Rashad White, Andrews for Javonte and Waddle? What is the difference between White and Javonte? White to Javonte is a pretty big downgrade. I would say specifically in a single flex format where we're a little bit more incentivized to go and try to grab the elite level tight end rather than the depth at wide receiver. And this is coming from someone who loves Waddle. We probably keep Rashad White and Mark Andrews. Rashad White has a much larger role than I was expecting coming into the season. I mean, this is going to stay here as well with the Chase Edmonds injury. Now, Lewis says, should we trade Javonte Williams and Kareem Hunt for Jahmyr Gibbs? Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather have, Javonte and Kareem Hunt or Jahmyr Gibbs? Non-PBR format? No, obviously not. Full PBR format? I kind of want Gibbs. If we're not starting any of these players right now and we're just thinking long-term upside, full PBR format, give me Gibbs. Let's see. Gibbs. Oh, it looks like everybody in the chat saying Gibbs as well. Just please, we've always said this. I mean, I want to be on record. I have been saying to trade for Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't want to act like, oh, I knew Jahmyr Gibbs was going to be this bad. I knew it was going to be Montgomery. But we have always been on record saying you want Gibbs in a full PPR format. Do not be trading for him in a non-PPR league. James says 18 PPR league where we have Love, Lawrence, Barkley, Sanders, Kyron, Hunt, Ford, Kelsey, Henry, Lockett, Metcalf, A.J. Brown, Tank Dell, Thomas, Kirk. What moves should we make? We're 2-1. 8-team league. I would always see if we could go through and take one of these depth wide receivers and get an upgrade at running back too. If you could go through and take either Lockett or Metcalf, package with Miles Sanders to go get that upgrade at RB2, I think we would. I would say the same thing at quarterback, but honestly, I think we're going to have to hold on to Lawrence. I think he will get better soon. Okay. Now, Jeffrey says 12-team at PBR left Devon Chain and Tank Dell on the bench last week. Montgomery this week. Have Richardson, Fields, start Richardson. Walker, James Cook. Oh, I would 100% have started Walker and James Cook over David Montgomery. Do not feel bad about benching Montgomery here. I do not feel bad about benching Devon Chain, Tank Dell either. I mean, that's just natural in fantasy football. You're going to have some volatility. You're going to have some guys who weren't expecting to blow up like that do. Jefferson Olave will be our starters at receiver. And then we're going to be putting Waddle in there at the flex. This team, you have so much depth that if you wanted to send like Richardson and Brian Robinson and go get a top 3 quarterback, if we can, we do it. But it's just because you are loaded. Primate Play says, are you actually drinking water during the show? How do you not pee? Are you new here, my man? I pee. I get made fun of for having to pee so much. If you want to see my water setup, we've already chugged this thing. Because if y'all don't know, and this is massive. This is the size of my head. We have another one here that we're about to go through. And we have this. This is the size of my head. It's like wide too. And I mean, I drink probably 4 or 5 of these a live stream. That's why, especially near the end of the streams, I have to keep going pee over and over and over again, my man. Now, Boomer Nation says, got offered Jacobs and Love for Anthony Richardson and Mostert. What are your thoughts? Okay. If Anthony Richardson's your backup, I am fine doing this. I love Anthony Richardson, right? But if you have like Josh Allen, you have to do it. You have to do it. Okay. Now, Clutchbox says, manage to trade Ramadre Puka, Rashad White for Chase, Hollywood, Brees Hall. Was this a W trade? 100%. If it's a league where you start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. If it's a league where just getting that stud player means everything, then let's go for it. Obviously, if it's a league where you start like 3 wide receivers, 2 flexes, then probably not. Niggy says, got offered Ridley for Gibbs and a 10. Oh, you go Ridley right now. Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather have rest of season, Ridley or Gibbs? Full BBR format. Like I said, I still think that Gibbs expands his role, but are you going to go Ridley or Gibbs right now, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. Ridley. Yeah, everybody's on board with Ridley here as well, my man. Just double checking, making sure that we weren't losing our mind. Okay. Now, Mr. Filthy Wub says 2-1, 12-team BBR format. Gibbs will hold if we have Jacobs in 18. Yeah, if Gibbs is on your bench, definitely hold him in a full BBR league, see if he expands his role. Derek says, just traded Montgomery straight up. Trade went through at 7 before the game. I was at work, got busy, couldn't check to see if it went through, and started Jones over Montgomery. Well, good news, my man. You traded for David Montgomery. Next week, we are going to be able to go through and start Montgomery. And also, if you would have asked me before the game, do we start Aaron Jones or David Montgomery, I would have 100% said Aaron Jones. Like, even if you would have checked your phone, even if you would have been able to see that, if you would have gone ahead and if you would have started Montgomery over Aaron Jones, that would have been, I don't want to say a wild call, but that would have been a bold call. Was there anybody in the live chat who started David Montgomery specifically over Aaron Jones tonight, where you played Montgomery and you benched Aaron Jones? Now, Stefan says, I'm 1-2, 12-team standard league. What can I realistically do to compete? We have Tua, Montgomery. If we started Montgomery, you're 2-2. Stevenson, Amon-Ra, Diggs, Waller, 2-2. On the bench, we have Najee. This is a great team. Great team, great roster construction. Cut Donald Parham. Pick up another running back or wide receiver that you like with upside off the waiver wire. 2-2 is not going to be a long-term play. I don't really think we make any trades. We have the elite receivers. I think Waller will be better. Montgomery just crushed for you. Tua's obviously a top-end quarterback at this point. The literal only thing I do on this team is cut Donald Parham for a running back or a wide receiver. You got some people who started both. Montgomery over Jonathan. Yeah, I love the Montgomery over JT call, my man. Assuming, never mind. If you're talking about trades, I don't know what you're talking about. I shouldn't say I love that. I thought you were making a joke that you started Montgomery over Jonathan Taylor. Eric says trade Watson for a first and wait on a rebuild where we have Kyler, Richardson, Watson, Jameson. If it is a one flex league, it is a no-brainer. If it is a super flex league, it would have to be an early first. Nobody says get offered Amari and Hunter Henry for Mark Andrews. I would probably rather have Mark Andrews. And this is coming from someone who did not like Andrews coming into the season. Boss says, should I trade Kamara for James Cook and Jerry Jeudy? I personally would. My running backs are Gibbs and Kyron. My receivers are Devonta stacked with Ertz, Pickens, and Elijah Moore, where we lost Dobbins. We lost Dobbins. We need a little more depth. Let's go get James Cook and Jerry Jeudy for Kamara. Talent says, if Swift finishes as a solid running back, do we think he just figures it out in a new system on a new team and the Lions don't utilize him right? And if he does, what does that mean for Jahmyr Gibbs? I actually tweeted this out, the first blow-up game from DeAndre Swift, that I can't wait until Jahmyr Gibbs. I tweeted out, and let me tweet it out again. It was a good tweet. Like, in 2027, DeAndre Swift will be a must. Jahmyr Gibbs will be a must-draft running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's because, obviously, you have to think, like, what would DeAndre Swift would have been like if they would have given him a fair shot in Detroit, you know? Okay. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Had to get that out there. And our next question coming out from, I believe, Hayden says 10-team full BBR format where we have Hurts, Pollard, Walker, Chase, Ridley, Hawkinson, Zay or Adams or Terry. Oh, Adam Thielen. I was going to say, are you saying Devontae Adams? I would go Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a very tough matchup. But at the same time with Zay Flowers, you have Odell Beckham Jr. and you have Rashad Bateman both injured. So both guys are injured. I think you have to go ahead and you have to pull the trigger. Okay. Now, Miguel says 12-team full BBR. We have Fields, Burrow, start Fields. Waddle, Higgins, Dotson, Palmer, Elijah, Bijan, Kamara, Montgomery, Brian Robinson, Kelsey. Any trades gave up Flowers, Laporte, and Mixon for Bijan. Oh, great deal, great deal. Logan, Musgrave, CJ for Burrow and Kamara. Great deal, great deal. Love, God. My man, you're crushing it. I think the only thing is we sit around, wait till Burrow's fully healthy. And yeah, we'll have the Burrow and Higgins stack as well. If you really wanted to trade like, I know, I'm even going to hold on to the running back depth. Great spot, great team, love to see it, and great trades. Eric says, send Montgomery for Amon-Ra and a piece like DJ or Godwin. Are you saying Amon-Ra St. Brown and you get another? I would way rather have Amon-Ra St. Brown over David Montgomery. If you're saying like Montgomery and DJ Moore versus Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe that's a different question. Still probably rather St. Brown, full PPR. It's Okie Dokie Crocky coming out, says, should we start at Montgomery? Do I run Javonte or Breida at RB2? I'm sorry, Jalen Warren. Probably Jalen Warren. I think Barkley plays. He's practiced back-to-back days. The Jedi says, leave the team as is. We have Lamar, James Cook, Mostert, Eckler, Lamb, Amari, Pittman, Puka. Tight end, we have Pitts and Henry. I mean, Puka is someone I would love to see if we can throw out on the trade block and see what we could get. He was a must-sell guy for us last week, but that was when people were getting Olave, A.J. Brown for him. I haven't seen the same type of deals as of late. Quan says, full BBR playing against Montgomery. Start 2 at the flex. Madison, Jerome Ford, Tank, or Jerry Jeudy. We are going to be going with Alexander Madison and Jerome Ford and setting up a prayer that Akers and Kareem Hunt don't impact their workload this week. Now, Garcel says, should I move Montgomery in a PBR format where we have Walker and CMC? If I use Montgomery and Sutton Puka, what running back upgrade should I look for? And at wide receiver, hook him, baby, 4-0. Hook him more, it's my man, 4-0. Love to see it. If we could go like Montgomery and Cortland Sutton and get to Chris Olave, get to Amon-Ra St. Brown, that someone was asking us the similar question in a full PBR format, I would really like that move, my man. I would like that move. But Core coming out with our next question. We'll get to that in just 1 second. Let me refresh this so we can keep on looking at it. But real quick, ladies and gentlemen, of course, if y'all want to check out any of these pick'ems on Underdog Fantasy, make sure you go down there, use the link in the live chat, link in the description, link in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% of positive match, up to $500 on Underdog Fantasy for new accounts. Plus, you're going to be getting our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, you will be getting a Kenny Pickett special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard against the Houston Texans this Sunday. Now, moving over to our next question. This one coming out from, I believe, Core says 12-team PBR, running back help bad. We have Mixon, JT, P. Ryan Lamb, Pittman, Thielen, Kupp, JSN, Justice Hill, Antonio Gibson, Bourne, Geno, Anthony Richardson, Goddard. Best running backs to target. First thing is cut Kendrick Bourne, go pick up a running back off the waiver wire. Second thing is we're going to be fine if we just change the construction of this team. Let go of some of these wide receivers at the bottom end of the bench that maybe don't have a lot of upside. Go through, pick up maybe a running back that's an injury away so we can find the next guy that looks like Kyron Williams, right? And we are going to get JT back next week. Like the last thing, unless you're 0-3, I don't think you should be panicking and trading for a running back right now. I think you can wait till we get JT. Aqua says, we have Allen, Tua, Puka, Metcalf, Hopkins, Dobbs, Sanders, Montgomery, Barkley, Robinson, Algier, and Njoku, Ferguson. I'm thinking of going for a tight end. What moves would he make? It's a 3 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex league. So if you have to start 3 wide receivers, tight end's going to make up a smaller percentage of your starting lineup overall, my friend. So we're not going to be as concerned about tight ends. Obviously, Montgomery coming out here and absolutely dominating. If you could send Montgomery and Njoku, it's in a full BBR format and go get like TJ Hawkinson, I think that makes sense on a team where we also have Sanders, Barkley, Robinson. And then I'm not going to be looking to sell a wide receiver, though, because we are sitting currently with Puka, Metcalf, Hopkins, Dobbs. We have to start 3 of these guys. The other move that you could make is if we have Allen and Tua, assuming that it's a 1 quarterback format, if you wanted to go through and trade away Tua and David Njoku and see if we can get to the Hawkinson or Andrews range there. I think that'd be interesting as well, my friend. Okay. But Brian says, Dynasty 12-team PPR. Any thoughts on where to look for updates or trades? We have Herbert, Pollard, James Cook, Jefferson, Keenan, Pat Frymuth, Sutton, Devon Achane, London, and Jalen Warren. Very well-balanced format. I don't think we look to do anything. I think you have a very well-balanced team. It's Dynasty. It obviously depends if we are contending or rebuilding, but right now it looks like we have a contending team where we sit on our hands. Now, Gerald coming out says, traded Dotson for Addison. Phenomenal deal. Surprised that you're able to get that. Now the team is Goff, Bijan, Mixon, Waddle, Lockett, Goddard, Addison. On the bench, we have Fields, Hunt, Palmer, Downs, Reed, Musgrave. What do you think? Love the team. We don't have a lot of depth. Definitely going to want to churn the waiver wire down here at the very bottom end. And I will say it will be interesting to see what we get from Justin Fields. I think we had Justin Fields ranked ahead of Jared Goff this week just because the great matchup going up against Denver. But this is kind of a make or break week. Basil says bench Montgomery for Gibbs, Devon Achane, or Ramondre for upside. I think we're going to go Ramondre. Oh my gosh. If you're going pure upside, you go Devon Achane. I would rather have Ramondre in the starting lineup though. Michael says sell high on Montgomery, career night, non-PPR format, and I've held on to this the entire time as well. Non-PPR format, you cannot sell Montgomery based off touchdown upside behind an elite offensive line where he's in the Jamal Williams role. If you were to sell Montgomery, it's in a full PPR league. That's the only spot you can sell Montgomery. Now, Ty says, we have Montgomery in 25% of regular underdog best ball drafts and my main redraft league. He's my highest drafted running back, so his injury had me nervous. So hype after tonight. That is awesome, my man. Can't imagine how you're feeling when he was carted off, but obviously tonight you must be on top of the world. Eric says in a standard 12-team, one quarterback league, trade Watson for a first or wait on the rebuild. If it is a one quarterback dynasty format, let's trade Deshaun Watson for a first round pick. I mean, we really want to make sure that we are trying to lock ourselves in with the 101 if it's a rebuilding roster so we can go through and lock up Marvin Harrison Jr. in a one quarterback dynasty league. I will say it would be nice if we could go through and in a dynasty format as well, sell Javonte Williams, sell really any running back that's not a rookie or Breece Hall for the long term. Hayden says 10-team full BBR where we have Hurts, Pollard, Walker, Chase, Ridley, Hawkinson, Zay Flowers, Terry McLaurin, Adam Thielen. Who should we start at the flex? Okay, so this flex we currently have Zay Flowers, and I do think it's a really, really tough matchup against the Cleveland Browns. I think the Browns have given up the fewest amount of points to opposing wide receivers so far this season. But with that being said, at the same time, I mean, you have Odell Beckham Jr. injured. You have Rashad Bateman injured. So I think we're actually probably going to have to go through and play Zay Flowers, my friend. Now, Rigoberto says my lineup is Stafford, Adams, Puka, Walker, CMC, Laporta, Kirk. And then on the bench, we have Sutton, Flowers, Hunt, Mitchell, Jameson was offered Breece Hall for Zay Flowers. I need a running back for buys. Not worried about bye weeks at all at this point. It's week 4, my man. I mean, our team's going to change over the next few weeks with the moves that we make off the waiver wire. If you wanted to trade Zay Flowers for Breece Hall and set up a prayer that the New York Jets actually make a play for a running back, you can go ahead and do that if you want. Now, JJ Barker says 12-team PPR double flex where we have Montgomery, Connor, Jacobs, White, AJ Brown, Puka, Reed, Palmer. Tight end, we have Laporta, Goddard. Guy in the league wants to move Olave. What should we offer? Double flex format will be difficult to sell too much depth. We don't have a lot of depth at wide receiver. If we could go Puka and either Laporta or Puka Goddard and go get him, that would be the price point if you really wanted Olave, which I like Olave a lot. It's Okie Dokie says, traded Puka for Lamb. Oh my gosh, great trade. Great trade. That's a deal that we saw a lot of people making like last week. This week, I haven't seen many people pulling that off. Daniel says, start one at the flex. Devon Achane, Lockett, Nico, Palmer, Thielen. I'm going to go Devon Achane because I am terrified to tell someone to bench a rookie running back who just dropped 50 points, even if it's a tough matchup. Laporta looked good when he was in there. I mean, Laporta had 5 targets. I'm not going to be too concerned about Laporta. Sam says PBR started Aaron Jones over David Montgomery. It sucks, my friend. I would have done the same thing, though. Going forward, do I start Montgomery over Aaron Jones in the running back 2 slot and also have Rachaad White, drop Dotson or Jaylen Warren? I would drop Dotson before I would drop Jaylen Warren. Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather have rest of season? Would you rather have Aaron Jones or David Montgomery in a full PBR format? Aaron Jones or David Montgomery, ladies and gentlemen, please let me know what you're thinking. Okay. Monty Jones. It looks like most people are going David Montgomery here. I think it's maybe a little bit closer than the chat indicates. Non-PBR format, obviously, go Montgomery. But Zahok says Lamb for Bijan, 3 wide receiver league. I would still go ahead and take Bijan Robinson here based off the injuries that we have to the running back position across the league. Steve says, have BBR 10-team league, 2-1 start. We have Cousins, Eckler, Kyron, Lamb, Debo, Ayuk. On the bench, we have Sanders, Atwell, Ford, Dell. Good for start sits. And then trade question, Stevenson and Addison / Flowers for Ford and a wide receiver. Worried that Stevenson is not producing. Okay. Half BBR format, I'd be okay if you wanted to go through and sell Stevenson. I would want we need to upgrade over Zay Flowers, though. Not just a random wide receiver, specifically an upgrade over Flowers if you were to make this deal. And we're going to be starting at running back, Kyron Williams, Miles Sanders. Wide receiver, we're going to be going Lamb and Ayuk, and then Debo at the flex spot. I do think that Eckler misses this week, my friend. Sounds like Eckler is going to miss. Adam says, ATX, homie, #1 waiver. Hell yes. Top running backs by week 13. Do not worry about a week 13 bye. It's week 4. Brees and Watson are on the waiver wire. Oh my gosh. Jacobs, Madison. I don't care about the bye. Do not care about the bye. Dalvin, Mitchell, Jaylen Warren, Gainwell. Who do we drop and who do we target? I would drop Myers for Christian Watson for the long-term upside at receiver. I would drop Hopkins for Christian Watson for the long-term upside at wide receiver. I would drop Gainwell for Brees Hall for the long-term upside at running back. And I'd be dropping Dalvin Cook for Brees Hall for the long-term upside at running back. If you're able to get Brees and Watson for literally free, that is awesome. Now, Ryan says Debo, Thomas, Sanders for CeeDee Lamb and Romeo Doubs. I think Christian Watson expands his role. Will be a little bit less excited about Doubs going forward. We have Adams, Andrews, Hurts, Hunt, Javonte, JSN, Tank, Warren, Johnston, and Tutu. Up to you. I think you can make this deal if you wanted. I mean, really is going to depend. What do we need from the running back position here? Is this a 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex league? Jackson says, rank the players full BBR. Waddle, Myers, Zach Moss. We're going to go Waddle, Zach Moss, very close together. And then Myers way down. And yes, I did see Eckler send out the thing on Twitter, making it sound like he was going to play. We have the reporter in Los Angeles saying that he wasn't, though. Eckler was at practice. It will be something we have to monitor. Now, Brody says full BBR where we have Herbert, Richardson, Ford, Hunt, Mixon, Kamara, Pacheco, Brian Robinson, Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Higgins, Ridley, DJ Moore, Pittman, Dell, Thielen, Andrews. Need running back help and targeting Devonta Smith as well. If it's a full BBR format where you start 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes, typically running back's not going to be a big deal. You do not need running back help when you have Mixon, Kamara, and Jerome Ford. We'll be able to figure it out. I would rather focus in on wide receiver. I think a deal that make a lot of sense if you want to go after Devonta Smith, say if they said that the Smith owner put him on the trade block. If you want to go through and trade away like Anthony Richardson and maybe Tank Dell, Anthony Richardson, and DJ Moore, and go get Devonta Smith, I would really like that if we have Justin Herbert on the team as well. You don't need to be going through and worrying about a running back in a league where we can start up to 5 wide receivers. But Solid Jakin coming out says traded Dak and Addison for Jalen Hurts. We're 2-1, 10-team league. Look like 2-110, my man. I was going to say, oh, dear God, we need to win bad. But we have Hurts, Chase, Smith, Walker, Sanders, Goddard, Waddle. The bench, we have Javonte, Dell, Johnston. Any ideas? Phenomenal trade. Phenomenal trade. Especially stacking up Smith and Hurts. We have the elite receivers. We have the running backs with upside down on the bench. I think it's a great team. If you could trade Tate Tell and Dallas Goedert and go get a tight end upgrade, we do it. But no, great team. Now, Finksy says 12-team league. Rate the team and any moves we can make. It's a double flex, 3 wide receiver format. We have Watson, Amari, Higgins, Watson, Kyron, Connor, Ford, DJ Moore, and Kupp on the IR. Depth is going to matter a little bit more in this league surrounding the deeper wide receivers. So actually someone like DJ Moore will make a difference in a league where we can start up to 5 wide receivers on a week-to-week perspective. So with this team in this format in particular, I'm actually probably going to be sitting on our hands and waiting until we get Cooper Kupp back in. SDS says Gibbs owner said he'd trade him for Najee and Zay Flowers. Can everybody spam the chat? Would you rather have Najee Harris and Zay Flowers or Jahmyr Gibbs? Najee Harris and Zay Flowers or Jahmyr Gibbs. And as we wait, of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you want me to break down your team way better than I can do in a live stream with a personalized podcast, or if you want my rest of season fantasy football rankings, if you want that Flock Fantasy hat, you can go sign up for flockfantasy.com, officially join the Flock. Promo code Flock, you're going to get all my premium content, our rest of season fantasy football rankings. With the Mother Flocker tier and promo code Flock, you're going to get 30% off any subscription. And I will go through and break down your team in a personalized podcast way better than I can do on this live stream. But we have Gibbs, Flowers, Gibbs, Gibbs. It looks like most people are going to go ahead and they're going to take the Zay Flowers side of things, my friend. Thank you for being a longtime member of the Flock. M6 says 8-team at BBR league with 2 flex spots. We started Herbert, Adams, Lamb, Aaron Jones, Hawkinson, Higgins, Moss. On the bench, we have Barkley, Myers, Henry, Lockett, Ingram, Tua. Any changes? I think I would start Tua over Justin Herbert this week, at least personally. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I mean, I just think that we are going to have so many points scored. In the Miami and Buffalo game, where I want as many pieces in this game as I can possibly get. And also Saquon Barkley may be good to go, my man. He may be good to go. Now, Daniel says start Khalil Herbert or Jalen Warren. I'm going to go Jalen Warren, my friend. Tommy says, thanks for your help, bro. PBR, Bijan, Pollard, Kyron, Sanders, Higgins, Puka, Addison, DJ Moore. Was offered Diggs for Bijan or Pollard. What are your thoughts? If this is a league where you have 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, no. If this is one of those leagues that we were looking at earlier where you start 3 wide receivers and 2 flex, yes. Easy Eddie, always happy to see you, my man. Says, hey, Mason, double flex tight end premium format. Thoughts on the trade? We sent Jacobs, Puka, Dotson. We got back James Conner, Evans, Hawkinson. So Jacobs to James Conner, downgrade. Puka to Evans, lateral move up to you. Probably, I don't know. Dotson to TJ Hawkinson, massive upgrade in the tight end premium format as well. I personally say, yeah, let's go ahead and do it, even though I'm fine saying that Jacobs will probably get better. And at the same time, I mean, if you're looking at Jacobs, you know we really loved him last year. So it's hard for us to get off of him. But I love Hawkinson. I mean, Hawkinson is someone getting so much volume. X says, should we trade Swift for Henry in a full BBR format? We have Pollard, JT, Hall, and Kareem Hunt. I still have Derrick Henry over DeAndre Swift in my rest of season rankings. That gap between them is getting closer and closer by the week, though. Now, Premium Doug says, just got Josh Jacobs for Devon A-Chain and DJ Moore. Other running backs are Swift, Kyron, Hall, Roshan. Should I trade away Kyron for George Kittle where we have Kyle Pitts? No, I would not. If we could trade away Hall, then yes. Kyron Williams getting 100% of his snaps right now, though. Now, Albert says full BBR, 3 receivers, 2 flex. We need 2 flexes between Pickens, Nico, Devon A-Chain, Damian Pierce, Warren Brees, and who's starting a quarterback field to Lamar, even if it's a tougher matchup. And we're going to be going Pickens with no Deontay Johnson, and we're going to go Devon A-Chain, even though it's scary. It's a tough matchup, but he dropped 50 points last week. Duran says trade T and Puka or Zay for CeeDee Lamb. I would trade T. Higgins and Zay Flowers for CeeDee Lamb, or either wide receiver. But AJ says, have BBR trade Devon A-Chain for Ramadre. Thanks. Hook 'em. Hoka, my man, I'd probably rather have Ramondre Stevenson, even if Devon Achane's exciting. Henry says 12-team league, trade Tua, Jacobs, Ridley for Burrow, Kupp, and Adams. Downgraded quarterback. Upgrade from Jacobs to Tua. Upgrade from Jacobs to Kupp. Upgrade from Ridley to Adams. If this is a league where we can be thinking long-term, then yes. If we're like 3-0, let's make this deal. If you're 0-3, hell no. Dread Chapo, happy to see you, my man, and excited to get some merch. Get some set up with stuff on Monday. But traded DK, Hollywood, Pierce for Kirk, Watson. DK to Christian Kirk downgrade. Pierce to Watson upgrade. Hollywood to Kirk Cousins upgrade. Which running back wide receiver can I go out to grab with Jefferson and Eckler? Herbert or Cousins rest of season? Let's go. Appreciate you, my man. I'd still rather have Herbert rest of season. And I don't know exactly what you mean. Like if you're asking for like a buy low candidate in terms of like these respective offenses in Los Angeles or in Minnesota, I think Jordan Addison looks pretty appealing with how he's expanding his role. But O-Dogs has offered Jefferson Connor for Keenan and Devonta Smith. I'd rather have Jefferson, even if Keenan Allen looks like he's going to crush with no Mike Williams. But let me go ahead and refresh this, ladies and gentlemen. Just give me 1 second to do so. And as I do this, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. We are less than 100 likes away from hitting 1,000 likes on this live stream. If you hit that like button, it will help us out a ton. And also, of course, if you want to check out any of those pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, find in the description, find in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match up to $500. Plus, you'll get our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And you'll be getting a Kenny Pickett special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard going up against the Texans this week. But our next question coming out from, I believe, Cupper Rudd says PBR League traded Kupp, Swift, Thielen, and Amari for Amon-Ra, Hawkinson, Barkley, Kirk. We have Fields and Kmet. Stack unreliable. Kupp versus Amon-Ra, give me Amon-Ra. Swift versus Barkley, give me Barkley. Amari versus Hawkinson, give me Amari. Thielen versus Kirk, give me Kirk. You upgraded at literally every spot. Phenomenal. Love it. Miles says got offered Joe Mixon for Jalen Waddle, non-PPR. Love the videos. Appreciate you, my man. Non-PPR format, it's actually damn close. Non-PPR format, I may actually end up going with the running back as much as I hate it. Now, Julian says trade Chase for Raheem Mostert and Travis Etienne. No. Keep Chase. We're 0-3, full PPR format. We need some help at running back. It looks like you will have Saquon coming back in. If you really wanted to make this trade Kupp on an 0-3 roster, not Jamar Chase. Jordan says a 14-team triple flex, trade Adams for Cook and A.J. Brown. 14-team triple flex, I will trade Devontae Adams for A.J. Brown and James Cook. I would not do this in a 10-team single flex league. Please do not go do that in your league, but specifically with these league settings, I think we can. Owen says 12-team at BBR where we have Love, Goddard, Musgrave, A.J. Brown, Ridley, Hollywood, Thomas, Johnson, Bijan, Kyron, Ford, Hall, Pacheco, Charbonnet, Wilson. Should we trade Ridley, Breece Hall for Saquon and Garrett Wilson? Love the streams. Appreciate you. Hall to Garrett Wilson, kind of up to you. Personal preference type thing. Obviously, both guys are in the same crappy offense. Barkley versus Calvin Ridley. Give me Saquon Barkley, and I don't know if it's going to be too close. I mean, especially with Barkley getting in back-to-back practices. I mean, I think that you are in a good spot to just go ahead and lock him in. Now, it's Okie Dokie coming out. Says, I have Barkley and Montgomery. Maybe I start Barkley. I'd start Barkley over Montgomery going forward, definitely. Aiden says, 12-team PBR league where we have Burrow, Goff, Kyron, Ramondre, Pierce, Devon Achane, Diggs, Evans, Olave, Addison, Johnson, Dotson, Waller. We just traded Brian Robinson, Lockett, Palmer for Olave and Addison. What are your thoughts? Okay. Palmer to Addison, give me Addison, not close. Brian Robinson, Lockett for Olave, give me Olave, not close. Great team. A great team, great move. Love it. Gary says, hey, man, thanks for the work you put in. Just traded Connor and Olave for Jacobs Dobbs. This one I don't feel great about. Dobbs, I don't know if he is going to be a reliable top 20 wide receiver going forward if Christian Watson expands his role. Olave versus Jacobs, full PPR format, I may take Olave. I'm completely fine buying low on Josh Jacobs. I think we probably overpaid a bit here, though. Now, Biscayne says, 10-team, 1 flex. We have CMC, Bijan, Montgomery, Hall, Wilson, Addison, Judy, London, JSN. We need receivers. What trade are we thinking? If we could go with like David Montgomery and, assuming full PPR format, David Montgomery and like Drake London, and go get a Amon-Ra St. Brown, go get a AJ Brown, go get Chris Olave, I would like that. Now, Nolio says, what are your thoughts? 10-team full PPR league. Burrow, Stroud, Mixon, Jacobs, Kyron, White, Charbonnet, Jefferson, Kupp, Puka, Myers, Mims, Watson. Tight end, we have Goddard. I think it's a great team in the long term. It's a well-balanced squad as well. In terms of making trades, I don't see many. We really just need Burrow back and healthy. Mr. Vildy Webb says start Eckler and Saquon despite coming off of injuries. If they play, yes, you start Eckler and Saquon. I mean, look at what we just saw from Montgomery coming back off an injury. Justin says 10-team at BBR. Hurts, CMC, Sanders, Olave, Debo, Frymuth, Amari. On the bench, we have Watson, Myers, Elijah, Pirine, Roshan. Traded Debo and Amari for Etienne, Terry, Tank, Bigsby. Trade got vetoed. Was I losing? Amari to Terry and Bigsby, give me Amari. Debo to Etienne, give me Etienne. Honestly, probably should have been let through. I have no idea why the hell it wasn't. I don't want to say you were losing. It just seems like a very fair and balanced deal. Jackson says, congrats on 200K. Thank you, my friend. Trade Puka for Sanders in a full BBR format. Really depends on your team. I would assume that we could get a little more for Puka. Bullman says, you think Devon Achane's going to pop off? And what's your analysis on Kittle? I feel like he's so volatile. Kittle is very volatile, but all tight ends are. All tight ends are, my man. So you just take the spikes, you take the duds as they come. With Devon Achane, he has a very wide range of outcomes. He is a player that's in a phenomenal offense, but I'm a little bit worried this may turn into a 3-man committee next week. Week 5, that is. Now, Jim Ben coming out says, who should we start? 12-team BBR. Start Swift or Saquon if healthy. Saquon. Start Najee, Madison, or Brees. Oh, go Swift if we can. If not, we'll go Madison. Thanks, Mason. You're the GOAT. No, appreciate you, my man. Really appreciate you. Abby says, I'm 1-2. What can I do to start winning? 10-team BBR. We have Pickett, Bijan, Russ, Ramadre, DK, Smith, Watson, Hawkinson. Flexes are Laporta. My team dropped 87 last week. One of my worst weeks ever. It's a league where we start 3 wide receivers. Okay. Starting DK, Watson, Smith going forward. It's going to be a little bit of a better spot. The thing is, ultimately, we need a better quarterback. Quarterback is disgusting. If you're starting Pickett and Russell Wilson, I don't know how we win. But I don't see the wide receiver depth unless you have a wide receiver on the bench. Like, I don't know, Tank Dell, and we can go through and maybe get us a slight upgrade at QB. Let's do it. But it's hard to see that, my man. Now, Cade says Richardson, Eckler, Madison, Lamb, Olave, Andrews, DJ Moore, Laporta, Dell, McLaurin, Charbonnet, Spears. Only willing trader has Lamar, Dalvin, Kyron, Wilson, Javonte, Ramadre, Brian Robinson, Lockett, Cup. Thinking of an RB2 QB. QB, you're going to be fine with Anthony Richardson. You don't need to do anything there. If you could make an Anthony Richardson for Lamar swap, you would, but I doubt he goes for it. If we could trade for Kyron, that'd be really nice. If you want to send like Alexander Madison and Tank Dell for Kyron Williams, you can do that. Redeem coming out says traded Zach Charbonnet, Zay Flowers, David Montgomery for Wilson and White. Oh my gosh. Looks a lot tougher now, my man. Looks a lot tougher now. I honestly at the time probably wouldn't have blamed you at all for it though. Now, Todd White says, asked earlier what you thought about Lawrence and Adams for Hurts, Pittman, Evans. You said it was a fair deal. Does me having A.J. Brown change things? I'm a little bit more inclined to do it. I still probably want to keep the best player in Devontae Adams. Or should we trade Adams for Ridley and Henry? I definitely want to do that. If we were doing one of them, it would be the other one. I don't see why you want to trade Adams, though. Outlawed Best says, 10 team at BBR, Roshan or Pacheco at RB2 this week. Where'd you go, Roshan? I mean, Pacheco's in a 3-man RB by committee. You had to have 5 touchdowns for the Chiefs running backs for Pacheco to be viable last week. Alejandro says, 1 flex league where we have Burrow, Stevenson, Montgomery, Devon A-Chain, Jarek Miller, Hill, Zeke, Hill again, A.J. Brown, Lockett, DJ, Pat Frymuth. How do we improve in a full BBR format? We don't have too many moves that we can make. Like, we don't have a bunch of like extra value on this team that we can go through and make a 2-for-1 deal, which in this format, that's what we typically look to do. I would say with this team in particular, you just want to be very active on the waiver wire and continuously churning to try to find the next Kyron Williams. Cam says 12-team PPR where we have Richardson, Bijan, Gibbs, Lamb, Judy, Ingram, Pierce. On the bench, we have Moore, London, Dak, Brian, Robinson, Charbonnet, Gainwell, Kelly. Trade Gibbs, Judy, Brian, Robinson for Ridley and Saquon. Judy, Brian, Robinson, or Ridley, up to you. Or let's go say Gibbs and Judy, Saquon easily. Brian Robinson, Ridley, give me Ridley. Yes, great deal. I mean, I do not want to panic sell Jahmyr Gibbs. That does not seem like a panic sell, though. It seems like we're getting a great price. BZ says 10-team BBR, we're 1 and 2. We have Lamar, Montgomery, Moss, Lamb, Diggs, Pitts, Judy, Tank, Nico, Akers, JT, Palmer, Roshan, Addison. Any moves and who do we flex? Appreciate the channel. Appreciate you, my friend. I'm assuming we started Montgomery based off how you listed this. Moss, RB2. Lamb, Diggs, wide receivers. We're going to be flexing we'll be flexing Jordan Addison in a full BBR format. And I don't see any clear trades that we want to make unless you wanted to see if we could trade like Tank Dell and Jerry Jeudy and go get an upgrade, or Tank Dell and Zach Moss and get along. If we can go like, say, Jerry Jeudy and Zach Moss and go get Kyron Williams, I'd really like that. But yeah, great spot, 2 and 1, and we have JT, so it seems going to get better. Damian says, do we trade DK for Higgins? He has 9 more targets. I don't know, my man. I'm sorry. Up to you, DK Higgins. I got distracted by this. You were in the coffee shop and your long blonde hair was flowing in the wind sensually. Got my lady out of there quickly. Don't do that anymore, my man. Thank God you got your lady out of there quickly. I want to say this just in all seriousness. If y'all see me in real life, always feel free to come up and tell me hi. I'd love to talk to you. Except if you're with your lady, it is probably best that you exit the premises immediately. That way she does not get to experience what a real alpha male looks like, all right? But outside of that, if you're by yourself, be happy to go through and talk with you. But just want to help you save your relationship. So, yeah, just make sure you use that general rule of thumb. Now, Chef says, thanks for your tips for drafting. I am going Mahomes, Kelsey, Kamara, Montgomery. Oh, this is a great team. Love it, my man. Mahomes, Kelsey, loading up on running backs, wide receivers, all through for the upside shots. Great team. Great team. Now, Big Route coming out says, 10-team standard league. We have Fields, CMC, Swift, Adams, Amon-Ra, Ingram. The bench is Stevenson, Algier, Palmer. Cup on the IR. Any changes? I don't necessarily think so, my man. Great team. I mean, I don't see who we have in the flex. I'll say we probably want to go through, start Stevenson in the flex. If, yeah, CMC, Swift, running back, Adams, Amon-Ra, wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, if we start Stevenson in the flex, I'd like it. Your boy Gary says 12-team super flex, double flex spots. We have Lamar, Adams, Smith, Pollard, Sanders, Pitts, Dell, Puka, Richardson. On the bench, we have White, London, Shaheed, JSN, and Downs. What are your thoughts? Okay. I think it's a very strong team with Lamar and Richardson under the assumption it is a 4-point passing touchdown format. Since it is a 12-team double flex format, I think we can hold on to this wide receiver depth as well. Great team, and I don't look to make any trades there. Sorry, we were just sitting there trying to think about that. Now, Wabbit says, pick 3. We have Kamara, Ramondre, James Cook, Kyron Williams. Kamara, James Cook, Kyron Williams with Ramondre going up against Dallas. 172 Gates says, for some context, we have Stroud, Kelsey, Keenan, Pittman, Nico, DJ Moore, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, and Jerome Ford. Okay. Let me see what this is context for. Thoughts on Brian Robinson and DJ Moore for Jonathan Taylor, Christian Kirk. Brian Robinson, DJ Moore for Jonathan Taylor, Christian Kirk. 100% we go ahead and do this, my man. 100% you go get Jonathan Taylor. DJ Moore to Christian Kirk, lateral move, who cares? Brian Robinson to JT, give me JT easily. Patrick says 14-team at BBR, we're 0-3. We have Hurts, Brian Robinson, Moss, Brees, JT, Algier, Gibson, Chase, Judy, Dell, Reed, Gabe, Musgrave, Henry. Godson, Jacobs, and Shark for JT, Brian Robinson. They also have Waller, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown. Should I try to get more? Yes, you should. If you're going to go JT, Brian Robinson for Jacobs and any other player but Shark there that you listed that they have, we do it. Or if you wanted to go JT for Jacobs straight up on an 0-3 team, we do that as well, even if we like the long-term upside more. Steve says, re-asking my question, I have Ford. If he wants Ford and a wide receiver, we can add Tutu or Dell for Stevenson plus Addison. My friend, I don't know if we answered this. I would way rather have Stevenson and Addison. Yeah, trade Ford and Tutu for Stevenson and Addison if we can. I understand you're worried about Stevenson's production, but I mean, Jerome Ford, I know he scored a couple touchdowns last week. He had 10 carries for 18 rushing yards. I think it's better for Stevenson going forward. I think you can upgrade a receiver and possibly running back there. Smitty says, at BBR format, would you trade Ford and Tutu for Ramondre and Deontay? Hell yes, I would. I would rather have Ramondre than Jerome Ford. Am I losing my mind? Can everybody spin the chat? Who would you rather have, Ramondre Stevenson or Jerome Ford, ladies and gentlemen? Can you please let me know in the live chat, would you rather have Ramondre Stevenson or Jerome Ford? And also, we are about 1 like away from hitting 1,000 likes on this live stream. If you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. Okay. Ramondre, Ford, Ramondre, Ford. Yeah, it looks like most people are going to Ramondre Stevenson as well here. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. Okay. Now, Tyler says, almost traded Montgomery, Lockett, Goddard for Kittle, Ford earlier today and reworked it to Lockett, Goddard. Started Montgomery, and safe to say I'm glad I kept him. Happy to hear that, my man. Obviously, it would have been brutal to sell Montgomery right before this game. Now, Jackson says, Pickens or Watson dynasty on a non-contender. I'd rather have Watson over Pickens. Tiger says, full BBR, Lamar, Pierce, McKinnon, Chase, Higgins, Laporta, Akers, Terry, Just Sill, Elijah Mitchell, Michael Thomas, Evan Ingram. What are our trade options? We need a better running back. Go send Michael Thomas and get any running back too we can. If we can send Michael Thomas and Jarrett McKinnon and go get someone like Rashad White, go get someone like, I don't even know if we can get James Cook. Go get someone like Brian Robinson. You have to do it. You need a better RB. Or go send Sam Laporta for a better running back too and play Evan Ingram. Sean says, no Dobbins, need a running back. It's a 1 flex league, 3-0. We have Adams, Waddle, Cup, Lockett, Kirk, Ingram, Montgomery, Brees, Roshan, Breida. Who do we trade? If we can go Kirk and Brees and go get a running back upgrade, we do it. If you could go Kirk and Brees and go get like Jonathan Taylor on a 3-0 roster where we're thinking long-term, I would love that. AFC Thing says 12-team full BBR format, 1 flex. We have Richardson, Gino, Ill, Debo, Etienne, Sanders, Henry. On the bench, we have JT, Gainwell, Judy, Dobbs, Chark, Shaheed, Frymuth. Any suggestions? Great quarterback room, great running backs, great wide receivers. A great team. The only thing I'd say is let's make sure we're continuously turning the bottom end of the bench. I mean, Shaheed's got someone that's interesting in best ball, but like if Olave goes down, are you viewing Shaheed as a must-start player? Probably not. So I'd rather go through, and if we can, I'd rather roster someone like, say, Tajay Spears, whereas if you have Derrick Henry go down, obviously he is a must-start running back in that instance. I'd rather roster some more running backs at the bottom end of this bench. So outside of churning what we have down there, that would be interesting. And then we just have to be patient. I mean, you're going to be in a really good spot. It's a team that's already strong in the starting lineup. We're going to get JT back next week. Jordan says trade Lawrence, James Cook, Chase for Tua, Tyreek, and Ayuk. Upgraded quarterback from Lawrence to Tua. Upgrade from Chase to Tyreek. James Cook to Ayuk, downgrade. Fine deal if you wanted to go through and just get the players that are producing. Andrew says 3-0 so far, 10-team BBR. We have Mahomes, CMC, Walker, Montgomery, Adams, Lockett, Myers, Collins, Kittle. Any suggestions on the team and any trade ideas? Congrats on being 3-0. I don't necessarily have anything right now. If it's a full BBR format, if we could sell like Montgomery, if he's our RB3 with a player like Jacoby Myers and go get one of those round 1, round 2 wide receivers like A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chris Olave, we would look to do that, but specifically a 10-team league where he's RB3, right? Pam Bam says, would you do Montgomery? Who would you trade Montgomery if you're selling him for high? That would be an example we just gave, my man. And then we just answered this for 172 Gates as well. So we're actually going to have to refresh this. Give me 1 second. And as I do, if you have not done so already, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you want to check out any of these pick'ems on Underdog Fantasy, find that link in the live chat, find in the description, find in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% a positive match, up to $500, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. But our next question coming out from, I believe, Jeremy says 2-1, rate in any ideas. It's a 3 wide receiver, 12-team map BBR format. We have Tua Richardson, Chubb, Gibbs, Dalvin, Dillon, Zeke. Wide receiver, we have Ridley, Lamb, Puka, Addison. Tight end, we have Hawkinson and Frymuth. Love the team. Obviously, we need help at running back ASAP. So we have to trade a quarterback. We either have to send Tua or Richardson for the best running back we can. Gibbs not producing. Chubb going down. We're 2-1. Happy to hear that we're 2-1 under this circumstance, but go take one of those quarterbacks, send him to the Justin Fields team, and go get a running back. Now, Sam says 12-team BBR traded Pierce, Thomas, Mac Jones for Mixon, Laporta, and some fab dollars. Pierce to Mixon upgrade. Michael Thomas to Laporta. Probably an upgrade if you need a tight end. Then bench Montgomery, started Gibbs, Mixon, and flexed Ridley, Mims, Stroud. Wait, what? Okay. Starting Gibbs and Mixon over Montgomery in a full BBR format, not a big. I would have started Gibbs over Montgomery in a full BBR league with Montgomery coming back from the injury. Be completely honest with you. But to start Marvin Mims over David Montgomery, there's where you lost your mind. There's where I can say I don't see why we did that. But good deal, good deal. And Daniel says, which game starts more players, Chicago, Denver, or Seattle, New York? I would rather have the Seattle and New York Giants offenses, if that's what you're asking. JJ says, 10-team BBR, double flex. We have Fields, Bijan, Swift, St. Brown, Devontae, Laporta, Najee, Devon Achane. Bench, we have Algier, Warren, Kirk, DJ Moore, Palmer, Stroud. Sit or trade who and with what? I don't think we change anything in the starting lineup. The only thing I will. I think we can start Kirk over Najee Harris at one of those flex spots because you have no Zay Jones. If you have no Zay Jones this week, if Zay Jones plays, I still maybe bench Najee Harris and I may go DJ Moore. And 2 weeks from now, if we have no Zay Jones playing this week, I think that it'll be interesting to see if we could sell high on Christian Kirk. Mike says, Sub Mason, should we trade Hawkinson and one of Ford, Connor, Montgomery, Javonte for Kelsey? I would sell Hawkinson and Jerome Ford for Travis Kelsey in a heartbeat. We have especially if we have JT waiting the wings. We have the Montgomery blow up. Let's do it, my man. You're not trading too much. I even love Hawkinson, but Kelsey's another class. Devin says, full BBR trade Peter File for Dixie. Oh, okay. Hilarious, my friend. Dread Jabba says, yes, I'm going to buy low candidate at wide receiver or running back. If you're a team where we're looking for the long term, I think we can go ahead and we can most likely look at Jackson Smith and Jigba at wide receiver. Running back's tougher. I mean, like we're looking at a deep call for RB. Maybe we go, I don't want to say Gibbs. I don't know, my man. I'll get you an updated video. Chef says, thanks for your draft tips, PPR. I think we already answered this. Mahomes, Taylor Swift's boyfriend. You really had to drop that on us. And let me ask y'all in the live chat. I know this is the first time I've mentioned something on YouTube because it's almost as annoying as people like, it's almost annoying as the initial thing, people coming and complaining about said thing. But is having to hear about Taylor Swift not the most annoying thing in the world? Typically, I try not to bring up things that annoy me because I know if it annoys me, it probably annoys y'all. Is anybody enjoying hearing anything about Taylor Swift? Like, it's the NFL. Why are we trying to turn this into a soap opera? Played Montgomery, great call. Kamara, Waddle, I don't know who to start wide receiver 2 in a flex. We have Judy, Dotson, Hopkins, Brian Robinson, Elijah Moore, and Flowers. I'm going to go Zay Flowers. I think I maybe would have said Jerry Judy before you had all the Baltimore guys going down. And then we're going to go Brian Robinson, but both these guys do have very tough matchups. Now, Cole says, should I trade Kelsey, Pollard, and DK for Hawkinson, Hill, and Gibbs? Kelsey to Hawkinson, downgrade. Pollard to Gibbs, downgrade. DK to Hill, upgrade. I'd probably keep Kelsey and Pollard. Logan says, should I trade Aaron Jones, other running backs, or Eckler and White? No, do not trade away Aaron Jones after this game. You're not going to get enough. Sports 101 says 12-team non-PBR format. We have Tua, Daniel Jones. Cut Daniel Jones. Kamara, Jacobs, Saquon, Charbonnet, Warren, Olave, Higgins, Godwin, Burks, Johnson, Hawkinson, Jacobs, Higgins for Gibbs, Cup. Should I do this? Non-PBR format, I would rather have Jacobs. In a non-PBR format, and this is something we've said all season, Jahmyr Gibbs is not interesting. Non-PBR format, the only thing you care about is touchdown upside. I think in a full PBR format, Gibbs can expand his role, and Gibbs can be exciting in fantasy. Non-PBR league will be a little tougher. Now, Dante says Zay Flowers or Puka rest of season. I kind of want to say Zay Flowers, but I know everybody will turn off this live stream if I do. We'll go Puka. He is leading the NFL in targets. Nobody says need receivers. We have Lawrence, Eckler, Swift, Higgins, Evans, Andrews, Myers. On the bench, we have Kirk, Davis, Jones, Nico Collins, Warren, Devon Achane, Cortland Sutton. Who to package? If you wanted to go Kirk and Myers coming off of strong weeks, I think it would be interesting. I think if you were looking at Christian Kirk, he is a very interesting sell high candidate with this production coming with no Zay Jones in this offense. And I feel like it kind of goes under the radar a bit as well. Now, Bro Moment coming out says Ayuk and Laporta for Garrett Wilson. We have Kittle starting, so we don't need Laporta. I think you can make an argument Ayuk's better than Garrett Wilson. So no, definitely no. You need more. Paul says 12-team PBR, 6-point passing touchdown. We're 1 and 2. We have Lamar, Madison, Brian Robinson Jr., Diggs, A.J. Brown, Pitts, Watson. And then on the bench, we have Anthony Richardson, Akers, Khalil Herbert, Kelly, Osborne, Hill, Pierce, Charbonnet. I have a trade agreed upon, but not official. Lamar, A.J. Brown for Fields and Pittman. Anthony Richardson is QB1. It is Lamar and A.J. Brown not close. For the love of God, do not trade away Lamar and A.J. Brown for Justin Fields and Michael Pittman, if that's what I'm thinking. I would rather have Lamar over Fields, my man, and I would rather have A.J. Brown over Michael Pittman. I understand if we have Anthony Richardson as our QB, then ultimately, I mean, you don't really need Lamar. But come on, my man. Come on. Do not do this. Please, please, please. If this was like something made through text, not made through your app, do not make this deal. CTE coming out says, I'm in a 12-team PBR league with only one flex. Traded Javonte and Puka for Ayuk and Ford. Was this a good deal? We have Burrow, Pollard, Ford, Kupp, Keenan, Kittle. I think it is a fair deal. I would be very interested to hear what the updated market rate is for Puka. Can everybody please spam the live chat here? What would y'all rather have at this point? Would you rather have, say, Brandon Ayuk and Jerome Ford or Javonte Williams and Puka Nacua? Please let me know in the live chat, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know. We got Ayuk side, Puka side. Ayuk, Puka. Yeah, I think it's tough. Like last week, it was so easy to trade away Puka. You were getting Olave. You were getting A.J. Brown. This week, it's much, much tougher. Okay. So now our next question coming out from, I believe, Andres says, Burrow or Jimmy Garoppolo this week? Definitely Burrow. Caleb says, 10-team full BBR format. I'm thinking of the following trade. Give Kyron, Evan Ingram, and Anthony Richardson to receive Etienne, Ridley, and Stroud. Downgrade at quarterback, upgrade at running back, upgrade from Evan Ingram to Ridley. I think it's a fair deal and up to you. If you have another quarterback you like, I think we can do it. Paul says, I'm trading Kelsey for Andrews, Elijah Moore, Spears. Horrible deal. Please keep Kelsey. I need a receiver pretty bad. It's a double flex spot for me. Elijah Moore is like, I see people picking up Elijah Moore off the waiver wire right now. My man, Elijah Moore doesn't all of a sudden, completely transform your wide receiver room. Do not make this trade. The bigger man says, my team is Saquon, James Conner, Lamb, Tyler Lockett, Andrews, Tank Dell, Raheem Mostert. Do we trade Mostert for Amari straight up? I want a better wide receiver too. I think Mostert is an interesting player to go through and throw in the trade block to see what we could get. If we can get like an elite level receiver, if we can go get like, say, Chris Olave, then yes, no brainer. I'm going to be selling him. Amari's about that borderline range where it's kind of up to you. And I would assume that we could maybe get a little bit more for the player that's leading all of fantasy football in points scored. James says 12-team BBR, 2-2-1. We currently have Bijan, Madison, Akers, Roshan, AJ, Pittman, Watson, Hollywood, Reynolds. Should we trade Bijan, Pittman for Henry, Pierce, Nico? Pittman over Nico, Bijan over Henry and Pierce. I think you're going to go Bijan. I'm going to be way more concerned about Derrick Henry's usage than I am with Bijan Robinson's usage, my friend. Like the 30-year-old running back you assume doesn't get better as the season goes on. However, you do probably assume that with the rookie. Now, Nathan coming out with our next question. 12-team BBR double flex, where we have Tua, Stevenson, Kyron, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Andrews, Keenan, Olave. On the bench, we have Gus, Hall, Curtis Samuel, Shaheed. Rate the team, and is this a good setup for rest of season, and what are your thoughts? I think it's a great team in a double flex league where, my man, we're starting Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen, Chris Olave. This team is straight up elite. The only thing we do is, make sure we don't make a trade and mess it up, because if we don't make it, if we sit on our hands, we're probably going to win the league, and just continuously churn the bench on the waiver wire, my man. Continuously churn the bench. Miles has traded away Montgomery and Debo for Etienne and Dobbs. How bad? Full BBR format, not horrendous. I don't think you'll love it, though. I would have loved it before the game. Nick says, why are you so confident in Jonathan Taylor's coming back? I already traded away Sanders, Ford, and Downs for Stevenson and JT's. Just curious. I do not think it's a 100% guarantee that Jonathan Taylor will be back, but I just try to look at the incentives behind things, right? And my question is, what is the incentive for Jonathan Taylor to not play this season? Who wins in that scenario? And please, someone in the live chat, let me know. I would literally love an answer to this question because I can't come up with one. Who wins in the scenario that Jonathan Taylor doesn't play this year? This isn't like a situation where he's franchise tagged. He's under contract for his rookie. I mean, he's still on his rookie deal. I don't see any explanation on like how JT missing makes sense. It doesn't make sense for the Colts. It doesn't make sense for JT. I don't think the Colts owner wins. How does he win? His football team's worse? Colts win because he doesn't progress his contract and he's the same situation next year? That's not a win. That's definitely not a win for the Colts. It's way worse for Jonathan Taylor than it is the Indianapolis Colts. But both parties take an L in that scenario. So I just look at it and go, I don't think it's a guarantee that Taylor comes back, but it's probably the most likely scenario. And ultimately, we are chasing upside, and JT last year was the 101 in drafts. Carlos says Walker for James Cook and Jahmyr Gibbs. Worried about Gibbs in a full PPR format. Multiple flex league. I think we go with the package. Single flex league. Up to you. Shadowbox says half PPR where we have Love, Henry, Mixon, Thomas, Jefferson, Hawkinson. Double flex, Swift, Amari, and then on the bench, Watson, Reed, Watson, Roschon, Algier, Hunt. Any changes with quarterback or running back? I would say no. I mean, maybe we can see if we could get like Travis Etienne for Derrick Henry. In reality, it's probably going to be much easier said than done. I think we just really have to hope that Deshaun Watson starts playing better. But for the construction of the team, I think it makes sense for the format. Brian says trade Jefferson and Moss for Olave and Eckler. I think you get more long-term upside with Eckler. Olave, I think you get more short-term production with Jefferson and Moss. Up to what you need. Jordan says DK, Jacobs, or Johnson in the flex this week. Oh, definitely Josh Jacobs. I don't think that's close. Do not play Quentin Johnston near those guys. Gary says 12-team PBR format. 10-team. We have Barkley, Mixon, Taylor, Garrett Wilson, Watson, AJ Andrews, Lamar, Montgomery, Pollard, Thielen, Devon Achane. Traded for most of them. Am I okay? We have the Lamar Andrews stack. We have great running backs. We're about to get Taylor back in. Phenomenal team. You're more than okay. I mean, especially once we get Taylor back in, take Mixon and go get an elite level receiver. Now, Muhammad coming out says 12-team, double quarterback, super flex, double flex PBR, possible 3 starting QBs. We have Hurts, Carr, Bryce, Mostert, Rashad, Montgomery, Olave, AJ Devonta, Nico, Deontay, Chark, Rondale, Logan, Ferguson, Zach Charbonnet, P. Ryan. Lost Mike Williams. What are your thoughts? When you have Jalen Hurts in a super flex league, a lot can be overcome. It's a double flex league, so wide receiver depth is going to matter a little bit more. I think that this team will be fine in the long term when we get Deontay Johnson back in. But you may be in a situation where if you want to like go and approach the George Pickens owner and somehow go, hey man, I mean, I know that you're great right now. Do you want the wide receiver one in Pittsburgh for the long term and see if you can swindle him and send like Deontay for Pickens and get someone that's producing right now? Or maybe if you wanted to go through and send like Deontay and get back like Christian Kirk, that could be something we look to do as well. Brian says, just thanks. I won a lot of money without. No, thank you so much for being a member of the flock, my man. Jose says, David Montgomery versus Devon Achane rest of season. Oh, Montgomery at this point. My starters are Mixon, Swift, the bench, Devon Achane, Tyler. I think you have to go with Montgomery, to be honest. El Lachero says, did I mess up trading Ford and Connor for DeAndre Swift? I don't think so. Especially if we have the depth here, I think we're going to be fine. Joe says, PBR, anything we can do with Burrow? We have Cousins. Just play Cousins, hold Burrow, and just wait till he gets healthy, and hopefully, increases his value eventually. Hunter says 2-1, 12-team non-PBR format with 1 flex. We have Hurts, Adams, Mixon, Jones, Hawkinson, Davis. On the bench, we have Zeke, Fields, Dalvin, Mitchell, Spears, Mims. Any recommendations? No, I love this team. I would say if we get a spike from Justin Fields against Denver, where if we can go through and sell, say, Justin Fields and like Gabe Davis and get an upgrade there at the flex spot, we do it. But we have the elite quarterback non-PBR format. That's going to be a must. We have running backs, wide receivers we feel comfortable with. We're 2-1 as is. I think this team will get better as the season goes on. Cam says, trade Moss for Warren and Addison. If you need long-term help and not short-term production, yes, I'm fine with it. Chris says, 14-team full BBR league. We have Tua, Bijan, Eckler, Watson, Andrews, Evans, Dobbs, JT, Devon, A-Chain, JSN, Richardson, Gainwell, Ferguson. Got offered Cup for Andrews and Evans. What are your thoughts? 14-team format. I don't think you do this. 14-team format, depth's going to be a little bit harder to come by. Evans and Andrews are, locked in starters. I'm trying to think. I think this team's going to be fine. I honestly don't think we do too much. If you wanted to sell Anthony Richardson and like Romeo Dobbs and go get a stud wide receiver for the flex and then just an average backup quarterback when we have Tua, we can. But great team. I think we keep the depth in a 14-team league. Joseph says, PBR, we have Mahomes, Connor, Sanders, Hill, DK, Hawkinson, Puka. On the bench, we have JT, Cup, Lockett, Sutton, Montgomery, Zeke. Trade Puka, Sutton, Montgomery for Calvin Ridley, Pierce, Thielen. Puka to Ridley upgrade. Sutton to Thielen, lateral move. Montgomery to Pierce, massive downgrade. Think to get Ridley to get, I don't want to be thinking of parlaying this trade. I think you need more for selling David Montgomery right now, my man. I'm not going to say, in a full BBR format, I'm not opposed to seeing what we can get for Montgomery, but we need more if we're going to do it. Now, Thomas says we have Lamar, Pollard, Jacobs, Waddle, Amari, Puka, Goddard, Gibbs, Moss, starting with Cup, Hollywood, and Dell on the bench. Any moves that you'd look to make? Thanks. So thank you, my friend. A great team. I think we keep it as is. Obviously, we are not going to be able to start Gibbs going forward, but we will be able to get Cup in there next week. Great team. Nate says 10-team at BBR format. 1 flex. Thoughts on Jerome Ford and Nico for Joe Mixon? Give me Joe Mixon. I don't think Nico Collins moves the needle. Daniel says you don't seem to like Puka as much as others. Why? Ultimately, I think that when you have Cooper Kupp coming in, he's going to fall down to the range of like those low-end wide receiver 2s where he's not completely replaceable, but it's just not a true difference-making player. I think you can start him when Kupp is back, but I don't think he will be a true difference-making player when Cooper Kupp is in. Okay. Now, next question coming out from Devin says, I have Lamar and Anthony Richardson. Should I trade Lamar, and who would he be worth trading for? Very nuanced question. If you could get a wide receiver like Olave, then yes. Maybe if you want to go a little bit further down, Waddle, Devonta Smith. Or if you want to go for a running back, someone like ETN, my friend. Like the usual hits that we always recommend. Stepsis says ESPN 8-team league where we have Hurts, Bijan, ETN, Diggs, Debo, Ingram, Kyron, Hall, Taylor, Pacheco, Ayuk, Ford, Palmer, Evans, Cup. What should we do to get better? 8-team format. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can go get an upgrade at tight ends. If we can go Mike Evans and Evan Ingram and go get someone like TJ Hawkinson, I think it'd make a lot of sense. Now, Steven says 12-team BBR. We have Fields, Stroud, Stevenson, Warren, Gainwell, Hill, Edwards, Chase, Amon-Ra, DJ Moore, Tutu Atwell, Drake London, Robert Woods, TJ Hawkinson. Trade for who? Okay. A running back 2 upgrade would be great if we could get one. If we could somehow send like Tutu Atwell and Jalen Ward and go get like Rashad White, that'd be a no-brainer. We do the same thing with Drake London, just that style of trade for that style of running back. James Cook, Rashad White, tomato. Just go get someone like that, my man. Okay. Let me refresh so we can keep on bringing these questions up. As I do this, let me remind you, go down there, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. Next question coming out from, I believe, Gene Jang, who says, 10-team full BBR. My running backs are James Cook, Kyron, James Conner, Roshan, and JT. Fred wants to trade Etienne and Frymuth for Laporta and Connor. We have Hawkinson. If we have Hawkinson, hell yes. Send them Connor and Laporta for Etienne. I mean, we are already loaded at running back, but just getting stronger at a position of strength. I love to see it. Now, next question coming out from Jaquil says, full BBR double flex. Starters are Lamar, Moss, Mostert, Jefferson, Allen, Goddard, Waddle, Myers, Moody, and then on the bench we have Hunt, Saquon, Tutu, Tank Dell, Quentin Johnson. Who would you flex and do we risk Barkley? Yes, you risk Barkley. I mean, if we could throw Barkley in the flex spot, that'd be phenomenal. Unless if we get news that Barkley looks like he's not good to go, then I think we either pivot to Tutu Atwell or Tank Dell, my man. I really like Quentin Johnson in the long term. You just can't start Quentin Johnson right now. Now, Tanner says 12-team double flex. Who would you start in the flex? Flowers, Brian Robinson, Roshan, Michael Thomas, or Quentin Johnson? I think we're going to go Flowers and Brian Robinson now that it looks like you have no Odell and no Bateman. Gabriel says, think Hunt won't produce. Would you start Mike? No, I do not think we would, my friend. Mike says he just accepted Hawkinson and Ford for Travis Kelce. Oh, great deal to go get Kelce. And I love TJ Hawkinson as well, but I mean, getting Kelce, that's just a no-brainer. We took our like round 5 pick and parlayed him with the waiver wire pickup for a round 1 selection. Johnny says 12-team non-BBR format. My team's 3-0. We have Tua, Eckler, Walker, Watson, Sutton, Hawkinson, James Cook, Mixon, Hopkins, Addison. Should I trade Mixon and Addison or Mixon and Watson for Stephon Diggs or keep? Thank you. No, thank you, my man. 3-0 non-PPR format. Running backs get a bump up. We are already loaded at running back. Since we are loaded, if this is a one flex league, I would be willing to go out there and make the trade to get the best player. Great team, though. Alex says, 10-team PPR, what moves should we make? We have Lawrence, Diggs, Ayuk, Jacobs, Montgomery, Andrews, DK. On the bench, we have Jones, Thomas, DJ Moore, Warren, Watson, and Love. We have a crap ton of depth. If you wanted to see if we could go out there and get a quarterback upgrade, if you wanted to go like Michael Thomas and Trevor Lawrence and see if we can go get like Lamar Jackson, that could be interesting. But we may have to wait until after Lawrence gets us a spike week because obviously there aren't too many people excited to trade for Lawrence right now. Now, AD says we have Romeo Doubs and Hunt for Gainwell. And after tonight, I thought it was a great trade. It seems that Doubs is Jordan Love's favorite target. Dobbs looks great over the past 2 weeks. He has. I do want to say that Christian Watson was on a snap count. Christian Watson's not 100%. Aaron Jones, don't think he was 100%. So I don't know. It's tough to say like Dobbs is like a locked and loaded starter going forward. He looks like a great guy for the buys though. 5-0 Drone says, lucky to be 2-1, 10-team BBR 1 flex. We have Watson, Cousins, Chubb, Stevenson, Kupp, Ridley, Amari, Thielen, Akers, Roshan, Gibson, Zay. Offered Alvin Kamara and Puka for Calvin Ridley. I think Alvin Kamara has more value than this. Typically, I do like going out there and seeing if we can target the best player in a 10-team 1 flex league. But with that being said, I mean, wide receiver depth will be easy to come by. We're about to get Cooper Kupp back in, my man. I think we were going to go with Kamara and Puka here. I'm not even a big Puka guy. You know that. Witcher says 12-team at BBR. Rank the flex options. We have James Cook, Kamara, Puka, in another league, same settings, Smith, Waddle, Olave. We're going to be starting, oh my gosh. If you look at our flex rankings there with that second option, it's going to be damn close. I mean, I really want to get Waddle in. I want to start as many players as we can here. I mean, in these flex rankings, yeah, Smith going up against 18. We have Waddle at 15. We have Smith at 18. I think we go Waddle against Buffalo over Smith. We play Waddle and Olave. Definitely play Olave no matter what. And then our flex options, we are going to go with, I can just tell you exactly where we rank these guys. This week, we have Alvin Kamara at 33. And we have Puka Nacua at 28. So we're going to go Cook, Puka, and Kamara. But going back to what we were saying with Waddle as well, I want as many pieces in the Miami and Buffalo game as I can get. Now, Francis A. Mason just hopped in. Wanted to know your thoughts on Gibbs after tonight and what are we doing moving forward. 14-team full BBR format. I think Gibbs will continue to expand his role as a pass catcher. I think that I still am okay with Gibbs in a full BBR league, even if we do definitely have to move him down in expectations. But I still think that he's going to be okay in that 14-team full PBR format. Non-PBR leagues where we stand by that he's probably not someone we're excited about. Charlie says, Nico Collins' manager is Tank Dell a concern? Yes, sir, he is. Team Exposure says, who do you feel you trust more, Derrick Henry or Zach Moss? Derrick Henry. Long-term for sure. I mean, this week, if you want to make an argument, Zach Moss, Derrick Henry, you do you. I mean, I have Derrick Henry 19. I have Zach Moss 21 in our flex rankings this week. But long-term, Derrick Henry. For the flex, do you start Myers, Thomas, or McLaurin? I'm going to go Thomas. I know a lot of other people would go Myers, though. Abraham says 12-team double flex. We have Lamar, CMC, Gibbs, Wilson, Amari, Lockett, Pitts, London, Spears, Mitchell, Hill, Gainwell, Breida. Lamar, CMC for Allen, Diggs, and Etienne. Was this a good move? Lamar to Allen, clear upgrade. CMC for Diggs and Etienne. 12-team double flex format. I am okay with this deal. If it was like a 10-team one flex league, I'd say hell no. 12-team double flex, I'm okay with this move. It's obviously hard to ever go through and trade away a player like Christian McCaffrey, though. Now, Hunnit's coming out and says 12-team PBR double flex, 2-1. We traded away Amon-Ra for Josh Jacobs and Anthony Richardson. We have Lawrence, Chase, Waddle, Jacobs, Stevenson, Kyron, Ford, David Montgomery, and Andrews. Traded a 0 RBs, Dobbins drafter with Diggs, A.J. Brown, Olave, Puka. He said Montgomery, Ford for Olave. If we could go Montgomery, Ford, and get Diggs, that is 100% something we have to do. If you could go Montgomery and Ford and get A.J. Brown, probably something I do, my friend, in a full BBR format. And if you didn't love that, here's what you can do. You can counter him. You can go, hey, man, I don't want Olave, I want Diggs. See what he says. Hopefully he counters back and go, no, you can't have Diggs, but you can have A.J. Brown. That would be great. If he just rejects, then we lower it down to A.J. Brown. We go, I'll take A.J. Brown and Puka. Or actually, here's what you can do. I think this will actually maybe get you a nice counter. You can send him 2 offers. Tell him you need more than Olave. If he has literally 0 running backs, it's probably going to be desperate. If you want to go and say, hey, man, I'll give you Montgomery and Ford for A.J. Brown and Puka, or I'll give you Montgomery and Ford for Stephon Diggs. What he's probably going to do is he's going to go, oh, my God, I can't do this. He's either going to reject you and then not counter, or hopefully reject you and then go, I'll give you A.J. Brown straight up. That would be great if we can go maybe those 2 guys and get A.J. Brown. And then also we could go through it, even if he rejects, we could just send the A.J. Brown offer after. But I'd try to get A.J. Brown and Puka there. Or Diggs. Now, Advocacy says 10-team, currently 0-3. We have Mahomes, Jones, Swift, Adams, Lamb, Waller, Waddle. On the bench, we have Thielen, Najee, Lawrence, Akers, and Musgrave. Let's go send Lawrence. Let's get any upgrade in the starting lineup right now. Go send Lawrence and Waller and get a tight end upgrade. Like, if you're 0-3, you have to get points in right now, ASAP. And when we have Mahomes, we're starting him every single weekend. We don't even need another quarterback on the team. Luke says, like this trade, we give Evans, Mixon, London, and receive Eckler, Garrett, Wilson, where we have CMC. London, Wilson, give me Wilson. Evans and Mixon to Eckler, give me Eckler. Hopefully he plays this week. I'm probably going to miss, though. I mean, reporter said he was going to miss. Then he practiced. Then he tweeted out that he's coming back. I don't know. He tweeted out some emoji or something. I don't know. Interesting spot. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, I need to go ahead and pull up our next question. If you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. We have live streamed every single day for 153 days in a row. And of course, if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, find in the description, find in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, you'll get a 100% deposit match up to $500. Plus, you will get our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be getting a Kenny Pickett special pick'em more than less than half a total yard. Okay. Now we have Isaiah coming out saying, got offered Waddle, Brian Robinson for ETN and Pickens. Very fair deal. I'm fine making the move before before Deontay comes back. Start Ferguson or Kincaid. We're going to go Ferguson now. Kincaid long-term upside. Brandon says 10-team half BBR format where we have half BBR double flex. Burrow, Gibbs, Kamara, JT. Oh, this team's probably crushed right now. A-Chain, Roshan, Jefferson, Amon-Ra, AJ Higgins. Oh, elite receivers. We're 1 and 2. This is the perfect spot to be in, my man. The Burrow injury, Gibbs giving us nothing. Kamara being suspended, JD being placed in the IR. We are lucky to be 1 and 2. As we get these running backs back in, this team is going to be dominant. You are going to absolutely crush with these wide receivers and RBs. And we have Hawkinson and hopefully some long-term upside with Burrow. I thought that was going to be... a spot where we were 0-3, but the fact that you're able to be 1-2, I think you're in a good situation. Carson says, got told to bench Montgomery for Devon A-Chain. My man. Devon A-Chain's about to drop 50 on him. About to drop 50, my man. Jackson says, trade Sutton, Pacheco for Pierce and Hollywood. I probably would. I'd probably rather have Pierce over Pacheco. Hunter says, pass on Mostert and Zach Moss for Aaron Jones in a non-PBR format. Was that a miss? Non-PBR format, I think, honestly, it probably was. I would have done it in a PBR league for sure. And obviously, it would have been wrong. Gunmai says, hey, Mason, 10-team PBR, roster Dalvin or Josh Downs? 10-team league, probably Dalvin, just in case Brees goes down. Jared says, got offered Olave Atwell for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'd rather have St. Brown. Atwell doesn't make a difference. My receivers at the moment are St. Brown, Smith, Christian Watson. Yeah, so we're never starting Tutu Atwell. Tutu Atwell's great now, but what is Tutu Atwell when Cooper Kupp comes back? What is he? He's nothing. He's probably going to the waivers. Corey says, keep Gillen and Mason in a 12-team PBR format, 1 and 2. We have Dak Stroud, Jones, Connor, Lamb, Olave, Amon-Ra, Laporta. On the bench, we have Montgomery, Kyron, Hollywood. Zay, what should we do? We have so many bench running backs that if you wanted to send like Kyron and Laporta, if we can get to like a Kelsey, we would do it. If you wanted to send like a Montgomery and Dak, if we could get to a top 3 quarterback, we would do it. But just because we have that running back depth, can't hurt to see if we can go attack that Nick Chubb owner and get them to overpay. Diego says, Watson, Javonte for Gibbs and Charbonnet. Really dependent on your team. At BBR format, definitely not as excited about going and getting Gibbs. Zeke Nadon says 18 BBR where we have Herbert, CMC, Walker, Lamb, Pittman, Etienne, Laporta. We also have Kupp. Should we trade Etienne or Walker for Devonta Smith and any moves to make? Etienne or Walker to Devonta Smith. 18 format, I honestly think you keep the running backs. If you wanted to make a move like this, you'd go like Etienne and Pittman for Stephon Diggs. That'd be the move, my man. Now, 5-0 Drones, always happy to see you, says, lucky to be 2 and 1. I think we answered this, my man. Yeah, we answered this question for you already. Watson. So essentially what we were saying is we would rather have Kamara and Puka over Calvin Ridley. I really do like Ridley over Puka, but Kamara, especially in a 10-team full BBR format where you have Jamal Williams in the IR, I do think that he can make a big-time difference for us. Now, 2 of these nuts says, PBR, trade my Puka and Kamara for Olave and Aaron Jones. Hell yes. Give me, Aaron Jones, Kamara, similar range rest of season. Give me Olave over Puka easily. Dylan says 12-team league. Running backs are Bijan, Kyron, Khalil Herbert, Roshan, and Zach Charbonnet. Would you accept a trade of Scary Terry for Roshan Johnson? If it's a league with multiple flex spots, definitely. The issue is, like, what's the path for either one of these players actually hitting our starting lineup, right? That's the main question that we have to go through. Dylan coming out says, Gibbs owner and a loser of Chubb Dobbins. Giving up on running back. I'll trade Kyron Addison for White, A.J. Brown. Giving me Lamb, Keenan, Brown, and Watson. I think it's a good trade. It's a great trade if I say so myself. But we can't fully give up on running back. We'll turn around and see if we can sell Christian Watson for an RB. But great deal if we're able to do that. Sean says, 12-team full BBR format, 3 receivers. We have Allen, Wilson, Lockett, Hollywood, Puka, Saquon, Hawkinson, Montgomery, Najee, Devon Achane, Gainwell, Dylan. 1 and 2, any moves. We benched Montgomery. We benched Montgomery in favor of Saquon and who? I guess maybe Devon Achane? Yeah, Devon Achane, I guess. 3 wide receiver league. Wide receiver depth is going to matter a little bit more. We don't have top end receivers. I don't think that there are any clear trades we can make with this team. This is definitely one of those teams, though, when we're sitting with an elite quarterback, when we're sitting with an elite tight ends, that we need to make sure that we are not rostering backup quarterbacks or tight ends down there on the bench, my man. As long as we're not rostering backup quarterbacks, tight ends down there on the bench, we'll be fine. And focus on running back, wide receiver upside. Logan says 1 and 2 at BBR. We have Lawrence Richardson, Bijan, Etienne, Pierce, Javonte Kyron, Allen, Higgins, Nico, Palmer, Andrews. What should I do / any moves? Start Richardson, start Bijan, Etienne, start Allen, Higgins, go Kyron Williams to the flex. And if we have this kind of running back depth, I mean, if you actually, no, I don't think you do anything. I think it's a great team. Great team. Hopefully we get a bump up from Lawrence soon. That way we're able to go through and hopefully trade him for something. David says 10-team full BBR trade Chase, Etienne for Diggs and Pollard. I would. I think the upgrade from Etienne to Pollard is large enough where we can do it. Joey says 2 and 1, 14-team double flex, 4 bench spots. We have Allen, Moore, Pickens, Eckler, Mixon, Hawkinson, Palmer, Reed, Woods, Reynolds, Jameson. Any moves? So I actually looked at a team that was similar to this over on flockfantasy.com earlier today, where like it's a 14-team format where you have a bunch of players down there in the bench. Sorry, on the bench. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. 14-team format where you have a deep starting lineup, but you have so few bench spots where we can say, okay, well, you're still going to be able to get players that you like off waivers. So it's not like we can say, okay, depth is going to be the number one priority. We have Allen, Hawkinson. Wide receiver, running back is going to be really important here as well, because it is that double flex format. I don't think we do anything. I think you just churn the bottom end of that bench, my man. I think now is about the time where you can go through and you can roster Jameson Williams as well. I'm trying to come up with anything there. Trying to come up with anything. Matt says 0-3, 10-team BBR. What's a solid trade? We have Tua, Bijan, Najee, Higgins, Godwin, Sutton, Njoku, Hopkins. On the bench, we have Love, Devon Achane, Taylor, Hunt, Dell, Dobbs, London, Sky. We lost Chubb, Rodgers. Well, we have Tua, my man. Tua's better than Rodgers would have been, at least in fantasy this year. We're getting Taylor back in. But right now we are starting Hopkins. So, my man, if you are 0-3, it sucks to say this. We probably have to do it, though. I really like the long-term upside that we have with Jonathan Taylor, but we probably have no other option but to go ahead and sell Jonathan Taylor and go get a running back like Travis Etienne that will at least give us production for right now. Like, that is something we probably have to do, my friend. Wes is currently 2-1 in a 12-team app BBR format with 2 flexes. Trade away Dell and Addison for Kamara. Yes, I would. We have Burrow, Goff, Ramondre, Kamara, Warren, Spears, St. Brown. With this solid team, I think it's a fine deal if you wanted to make it. I'm a little bit more hesitant because I'll say that you probably have Tank Dell actually making a difference in a 12-team format with multiple flexes, where obviously that 10-team league with 1 flex, he makes no difference. Tough spot, though. Tough spot. Okay. Now, Kate says 12-team at BBR in need of a running back 2. We have Richardson, Eckler, Madison, Lamb, Olave, Andrews, Dell. Very stingy league. Maybe Madison, Olave, or Lamb for Jacobs and Ridley. We would be getting a downgrade at wide receiver. We would definitely not do Lamb. If you were a big believer in Ridley, you could go Madison and Olave for Jacobs and Ridley. But please don't be making the trade with CeeDee Lamb. Lamb's in a different tier. Matt says, should we trade A.J. Brown, Pierce, and Hawkinson for Saquon, James Conner, Freiermuth? I'm 3-0 with Jalen Hurts, CMC, Pickens, Ayuk, Dell, Dobbs, Najee, 10-team PPR format. Brown to Saquon, upgrade. Pierce to Conner, upgrade. Hawkinson to Freiermuth, massive downgrade. I honestly probably keep the Hawkinson side, my man. I mean, if it's a 10-team league with one flex, I'm fine with us going getting the stud running back. Wide receiver will matter a little bit less, but still. Dime says, 11-team PBR 1 flex. We have Allen, Moss, ETN, Ford, Najee, Kamara, Lamb, Pittman, Godwin, Tutu, Palmer, Downs, Laporta, Pat. I'm 1-2. Who do we start in any trades if possible? We're going to be starting Allen. We're going to be starting Moss, ETN. We're going to be starting Lamb, Pittman. The flex, we will be going with Alvin Kamara. And if you really wanted to go through and sell like Jerome Ford and Michael Pittman and get an elite level wide receiver, we do it. But honestly, well-balanced team. El Lechero says, 10-team double flex full BBR, where we have Kirk, Walker, Swift, Olave, Thielen, Kelsey, Stevenson, Moss, Godwin, Fields, Lockett, Herbert, Tua, Warren, Laporta, dog poop at trading. What moves would he consider making? I think Dobbs is a player that can't hurt to throw him on the trade block and see if we could get something really nice for him. Like if you could trade Dobbs and Zach Moss and go get someone like ETN, I think that'd make a lot of sense. You're not going to be able to do that in every league. I think another thing that we would look to do is Dobbs and Sam Laporta. If you could get up to like Jalen Waddle, I think we would really like that as well. I mean, whenever you are sitting here with, say, player like Travis Kelce, you're just not going to have any reason to go through and ever get excited about Sam Laporta. Anthony says, what do you think about this trade? We sent away Ramondre, Addison, London for Justin Jefferson. So I'm sorry, Raheem. London's a nothing burger. Phenomenal deal. Go get Justin Jefferson. You're selling 3/4 for a $10 bill there. You're literally selling 3/4 for a $10 bill. Visual says 10-team standard 1 and 2. We have Kirk, Keenan, Waddle, Saquon, Montgomery, Andrews, Wilson. On the bench, we have Sutton, Reynolds, Dobbs, Roschon, Mitchell, JT on the IR. What moves can we make? Thank you. No, thank you, my friend. I would love if we could send Dobbs and Wilson and go get a wide receiver that we're super pumped about going forward. Go get someone like Ridley. Because, I mean, the depth is going to be fine with this team whenever we bring back JT. I'm just thinking like, Dobbs may be an interesting sell candidate, knowing that Christian Watson, I mean, wasn't fully implemented into this offense just yet. And if you see the change in usage, it could be a little concerning. Jackson out again says 1 and 2, 10-team PBR 1 flex. Played against Montgomery today. We have Lamar, Kamara, Kyron, Diggs, Debo, Kelsey, Puka. On the bench, we have Akers, Brian Robinson, Pacheco, Sutton. Any moves, keep your eye, my man. Really appreciate you. Really sorry to hear that we played against David Montgomery. I don't think we make any moves with this team. I think it's a solid team. Like, we have enough depth. We have the top end production. I think it's a great squad. We just got to get luckier here a little bit. I mean, playing against Montgomery, especially 10-team 1 flex league. Who are we playing against that goes out there and starts Montgomery coming back? Jacob says, who do I start? 12-team PBR, Lawrence, Bijan, Henry, Higgins, Metcalf, Pitts, Pittman, Sanders, Swift, Myers, Gabe Davis, and Anthony Richardson over Lawrence, Bijan, Henry at running back, Higgins, Metcalf at wide receiver. And then for the flex, we are going to be going with Swift over Pittman, my friend. Anthony says White or A-Chain this week. We're going to go with Rashad White. Niner Rick says start Lawrence, Daniel Jones, or Russ. We're going to go Trevor Lawrence and set up a prayer. He can turn it around. Not Oliver says 10-team PBR, 3 receivers, 2 flex. We have Lamar, Waddle, Amari, Pickens, CMC, Walker, Laporta, Lockett, Kamara. On the bench, we have Bourne, JSN, Chandler, Kamara, Austin, Kupp, Mims. Trade Amari for Jacobs, who in the flex, in a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, I would trade Amari for Josh Jacobs in a heartbeat. Here in this kind of format, I mean, we're more so just considering those guys for the flex. So I think we probably I don't know. Oh, this is a tough spot, my friend. I think we actually sit on our hands, especially if at running back we have CMC Walker and Alvin Kamara. Like full BBR format, the question is who scores more points, Amari or Jacobs? Typically in a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, we go Jacobs easily in value because it's harder to find a running back. But that doesn't really matter here, does it? Now, Jonathan says Jalen Hurts, CMC, Javonte, Amon-Ra, Devonta Smith, Darren Waller, Zay at the flex. It's a 10-team BBR league. Someone's trying to trade me Kyron and Nico for Amon-Ra. What do you think? I would take Amon-Ra St. Brown here. Nico Collins not going to make a difference. I mean, you're great at running back as is with CMC at the very top. We just need to play the waiver wire. It's a shallow format. Keep the best player. Okay. Patrick, I'm so sorry. Let me go ahead and double check that for you, my friend. So it's an 0-3 14-team league. Oh, we already did go through and look at this. I would 100% on an 0-3 14-team format. I would take Josh Jacobs over Jonathan Taylor, my friend. Now, Mako says 2-1 12-team BBR format with 1 flex. We have Tua, Walker, Ramondre, Hill, Waddle, Hawkinson, Judy, Madison. Traded Devon Achane and Pitts for Judy today. Was this a good move? No, it was not. And any other moves you'd like to make? I mean, my man, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Wide receiver depth's not going to matter too much. Devon Achane, I mean, obviously low floor, but incredibly high ceiling. Yeah, just, I don't think there are any moves we're going to make from here. Just going forward, like, don't be overvaluing depth at the wide receiver position in this format in particular. I would have much preferred Devon Achane and Pitts. Easy Breezy coming out says 2-1 in a 10-team PBR format where we have Mahomes, CMC, Connor, Amon-Ra, Keenan, Laporta, Puka, Rashad, Goddard, Kirk, Robinson, Jason, Downs. What do you think? 2-1, we're thinking long-term here, so I like having those rookies down there on the bottom end of the bench. If we have Keenan and Goddard, I mean, it would be really nice if we could sell one and get an upgrade. Like if you can go James Conner and Sam Laporta and Goddard. If we can go like Goddard and James Conner and go get a running back like ETN that we're more excited about, I think that makes sense. But ultimately, I think you're in a good spot. You can stand as is. Clifford says 12-team at BBR, need to drop 1 or trade a 2 for 1 when DJ's back. We have Love, Amon-Ra, Olave, Keenan, Dell, DJ, Quentin Johnson, Bijan, Rashad White, Kamara, Kyron, Roshan, Henry. What are you doing? Thanks. Appreciate you, my man. If we have this much wide receiver, this much running back depth, let's get an upgraded quarterback. Let's get an upgraded tight end. Go trade DJ Moore and Hunter Henry, get a better tight end. Go trade Tank Dell and Jordan Love. Go get a better quarterback. I mean, obviously, you can change the names, you can change the players, but really structurally, that's going to be the deal that we are looking to make, my man, especially on that roster. But that should be it for this live stream. I mean, if you have not done so already, go down there, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And of course, if you want to check out any of these pick'ems over on Underdog Fantasy, you can find that link in the live chat, find it in the description, find it in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $500 with promo code FLOCK. Plus, you'll get our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. Plus, you'll get a Kenny Pickett special pick'em more than less than half a total yard against the Houston Texans on Sunday. So please make sure you're taking advantage of that, ladies and gentlemen. Bing Wayne says 18 PBR format. Should we trade Watson, Ingram, Devon Achane for Stevenson, Cook, Johnston? Watson to Stevenson upgrade. Ingram to James Cook upgrade. Devon Achane, Quentin Johnson. 8-team league, probably take the best player. So yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think Quentin Johnson moves the needle 8-team league. But thank you again. Really appreciate y'all and really hope I get to see you in the live stream tomorrow night.